Chapter 28:35. Rumble. The heavenly might collided with the Six Paths reincarnation coffin in the void. These two extreme Tao monarch weapons were flawless monarch weapons that contain the source of the great Tao. At this moment, they exploded as if they had completely recovered. This was the battle between the heavenly prison emperor and the reincarnation emperor. Terrifying fluctuations passed through the turbulence of the void. The spectators were shocked by the extreme Tao emperor aura. They trembled and their hearts palpitated. As the two extreme Tao emperor weapons fought in the void, the battle between Ling Xiao and the reincarnation master became more intense. Ling Xiao's fighting spirit surged, and there was a blazing light in his eyes that pierced through the void. Every punch seemed to be able to split the heavens and earth apart and destroy everything. There was a mysterious light brewing in his glabella. It contained a strange sharpness as if he was going to open his third eye at any time. Even the reincarnation master's heart palpitated. What is that power? The reincarnation master's heart trembled, and he became more fearful of Ling Xiao. Rumble. Chaotic mist rose around Ling Xiao. At the same time, he exuded a mysterious and ethereal aura of destiny, accompanied by the power of karma and reincarnation. Chaos, destiny, karma, and reincarnation. The four powers entangled and intertwined around Ling Xiao. In the end they merged into one. Crack. The third eye in Ling Xiao's glabella opened instantly. Blazing lightning bloomed and the four-colored light streaked across the void. It contained a supreme aura and power that seemed to be able to dictate the life and death of all living things. In an instant, it pierced through the void and shot toward the reincarnation master. Ling Xiao's timing was perfect. When the power of the reincarnation master's 1,000 lives reincarnation faded, the four-colored light streaked across Ling Xiao's glabella. The power of domination. It was an extremely mysterious power that Ling Xiao had formed after combining chaos, destiny, karma, and reincarnation. It had been nurtured in his glabella all this time. The destructive power of domination was terrifying, but it took a long time to nurture. Therefore, Ling Xiao had never used the power of domination. The reincarnation master could be said to be the first person to try Ling Xiao's power of domination. What? The reincarnation master's body trembled, and he looked as if he had seen a ghost. He was extremely fearful. The power of domination made him feel the threat of death. Rumble. Blazing light gushed out of the samsara master's body. The vast samsara origin erupted like it was free, condensing into an incomparably powerful enchantment in front of the samsara master. At this moment his scalp was numb, and his eyes were filled with incomparable shock. He only wanted to get as far away from that sovereign's power as possible. Puff! The power of domination condensed by the four-colored light beam looked light and ethereal, as if it had no aura of smoke or fire. It contained a kind of transcendent power fluctuation, and instantly penetrated the enchantment in front of the samsara master. The samsara master's body shook violently. After the power of the sovereign pierced through his chest, his physical body started to crumble. The life origin in his body was like a deflated balloon, gushing wildly out of his body. In the end, the physical body of the samsara master exploded in the void and turned into a bloody mist, leaving only the primordial spirit of the samsara master. Rumble. The samsara master's eyes were filled with panic. Blazing divine light gushed out of his body, and the majestic life origin gathered, once again condensing into a physical body. However, his eyes were full of shock and anger as he looked at Ling Xiao. The power of domination was even more terrifying than the origin of the Great Path, causing him to suffer an unimaginable injury in an instant. The aura around his body was rapidly weakening. The power of the sovereign had directly cut off the origin of his reincarnation Great Path, causing his cultivation to fall rapidly. He began to fall towards the celestial venerate realm. Ling Xiao, you deserve to die. The samsara master trembled all over, and his eyes were filled with incomparable hatred. The power of domination had not only caused him to suffer a serious injury, but it had also directly destroyed his Taoist foundation. He was about to go crazy. Rumble. At this moment, the sarcophagus of the Six Paths of Reincarnation suddenly shone with resplendent light. The lid of the sarcophagus of the Six Paths of Reincarnation opened with a bang, and a small black flag flew out. It expanded in the air and split into 12, directly surrounding Ling Xiao and enveloping her. The heavenly capital divine killing flag of the Chinese? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He had not expected the heavenly capital divine killing flag of the Chinese to be in the 6 paths of reincarnation coffin. After the heavenly capital divine killing flag fell, the 12 heavenly capital divine killing formation was instantly formed. A figure with a terrifying aura emerged from the turbulence of the void. From the air he slammed his palm down on Ling Xiao. The destructive power in his palm rose, as if to destroy all life. At this moment, the Samsara Master also pounced on Ling Xiao crazily. He condensed many rune chains, which wrapped around Ling Xiao's body. The heavenly might was like a prison monument, but it was blocked by the 6 paths of reincarnation coffin. The heavenly capital divine killing flag exploded with the power of the Supreme Emperor formation. The sudden appearance of the terrifying figure, coupled with the frenzied Samsara Master, caused Ling Xiao to fall into a desperate situation almost instantly. Another imperial monarch expert. And it's a Chinese imperial emperor. You guys have really put in a lot of effort to kill me. Ling Xiao's eyes were extremely cold as he spoke slowly. In the face of the intertwining terrifying killing intent, Ling Xiao's eyes showed no signs of fear. In an instant, the time compass flew out from between his eyebrows and shone brightly above his head. It was as mysterious as the sun. Freeze. Ling Xiao softly spat out a single word. In that instant, the mysterious river of time seemed to have solidified, forming a time-still domain around him. Whether it was the heavenly capital divine killing flag, the Chinese imperial emperor, or the Samsara Master, they could not help but tremble. They were slowed down for a breath's time, but recovered quickly. However, this breath's time was enough for Ling Xiao to do a lot of things. Buzz. Ling Xiao's palm glowed brightly and the 10,000 demons banner appeared in his palm. In an instant, an unparalleled emperor's aura erupted. He leaped up and slashed down at the Samsara Master. What? 3 Supreme Emperor weapons. The Samsara Master trembled and looked as if he had seen a ghost. Rumble. The 10,000 demons flag in Ling Xiao's hand seemed to have turned into a ferocious saber. The saber radiance was extremely sharp and the Samsara Master seemed to have become a soft persimmon in Ling Xiao's eyes. Ling Xiao slashed the Samsara Master into pieces with the 10,000 demons flag in his hand. In the void, blood rained down and divine light blazed. The Samsara Master's body was once again slashed into pieces by Ling Xiao. End of chapter. Chapter 2836. Rumble. The Samsara Master was blasted into pieces by the myriad demons banner. Blood rained down from the sky as the great Tao laws intertwined with each other. Blazing divine light soared into the sky. The 6 paths of reincarnation coffin emitted a blazing light and blasted the prison tablet away. Then, it flew across the sky and protected the primordial spirit of the Samsara Master. When the myriad demons banner hit the 6 paths of reincarnation coffin, there was an earth-shattering explosion and the 6 paths of reincarnation coffin was blasted away. If the 6 paths of reincarnation coffin had not protected the primordial spirit of the Samsara Master, his primordial spirit would have been destroyed by the myriad demons banner. The Samsara Master's eyes were filled with terror. Under the protection of the 6 paths of reincarnation coffin, he instantly distanced himself from Ling Xiao. Rumble. On the other side, the Chinese emperor also broke through the time-stop territory and blasted the time compass away with the Tiandu divine slaughter flag. However, he did not expect the Samsara Master's physical body to be destroyed by Ling Xiao. His face instantly turned ghastly pale. Ling Xiao, you deserve to die. The Chinese emperor's eyes were cold. Blazing light pierced through the void, and he exuded a terrifying aura that was even stronger than the Samsara Master's aura. I've long since known that you despicable and shameless people would stop at nothing in order to kill me. As a Chinese emperor, you hid in the 6 paths of reincarnation coffin like a mouse and waited for an opportunity to kill me. Unfortunately, you didn't get what you wanted. Ling Xiao said flatly. His eyes were extremely sharp and blazing sword radiance seemed to burst out. Rumble. The prison steel, the time compass, and the 10,000 demon banner floated above his head and released their majestic emperor's might, causing his aura to become extremely terrifying. Ling Xiao was surrounded by blazing purple clouds and chaotic fog. It was as if he was surrounded by a dazzling galaxy and exuded an invincible aura. The Chinese imperial emperor was a handsome middle-aged man. His face was cold and his eyes were as sharp as lightning. His body was surrounded by lightning bolts and runes. His mighty emperor aura burst out, causing the surrounding void turbulence to distort. How dare the Chinese emperor be so shameless? Do you really think we are afraid of you? Kill. 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 Today we will kill all the 8 super forces and leave no one alive. Liu Bai's eyes were filled with murderous intent. He was furious and he went completely berserk. The War God Temple, Long Outyan, Old Goat, and Aishang and the others. And terrifying aura intertwined as if they were ready to attack at any time. And they were also shocked. And they were shocked. No one would have thought that the Chinese imperial emperor would hide in the 6 paths of reincarnation coffin during a fair battle between the Samsara Master and Ling Xiao. He was waiting for an opportunity to strike and kill Ling Xiao. If it wasn't for Ling Xiao's monstrous strength and the fact that he wielded 3 extreme Dao Emperor weapons, he would have been instantly killed by the 2 imperial emperors who wielded 2 extreme Dao Emperor weapons. They was Liu's master. Ling Xiao and the Master of Samsara had a fair fight. The Master of Samsara had a great advantage in the first place as a celestial venerable against an imperial emperor. Now even a Hua imperial emperor had joined the fight. The so-called fair fight was a joke. Although the experts from the 8 superpowers did not say anything, their eyes were filled with disappointment. They did not expect Ling Xiao to be so tough. 2 emperors could not kill him. It would be great if the Chinese emperor had killed Ling Xiao just now. Now they were in a dilemma. The War God Temple was going crazy. A big battle was inevitable. The Chinese emperor's eyes were filled with murderous intent. He wanted to kill Ling Xiao immediately, but he also felt that it was difficult to deal with. Ling Xiao, you won this battle. The Samsara Master was defeated by you. Let's forget about our grudges. We will not interfere with each other's business from now on. The Chinese emperor suppressed his murderous intent and said coldly, "Forget about our grudges? You're not dreaming, are you? I don't believe that you don't know about my bet with the Samsara Master. It's a life and death battle. The winner will live and the loser will die. If the Samsara Master loses, he and the 8 super forces will die." Ling Xiao sneered. His eyes were filled with murderous intent as he said without giving in, "Ling Xiao, do you really want to fight to the death? Even though you have 3 extreme Dao Emperor armaments, how long can you last with your cultivation? If I attack, do you believe that I can kill all the heavenly masters under your command? The human tribe cannot afford such a huge loss. Do you really want to be the sinner of the human tribe?" The Chinese emperor stared at Ling Xiao and said with a deep gaze, "Don't flatter me. I don't represent anyone. If you want to kill me, you have to pay the price. Now you know that the human tribe cannot afford such a huge loss? It's too late. You brought all of this upon yourselves." Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with coldness and his voice was firm. "Moreover, fight to the death? I'm afraid you have overestimated yourself. Since you don't follow the rules, don't blame me for being rude." As soon as Ling Xiao finished speaking, scorching light immediately rose up from the chaotic streams of space. The space shook, and 4 figures appeared in a vast group. Roar! Roar! There was an ancient roar that sounded like a dragon, a tiger, a phoenix, and a crane. In the endless void turbulence, a white tiger exuded a murderous aura. A phoenix was surrounded by blazing flames. A qilin exuded a 5-colored divine light, and a black tortoise was overturning rivers and seas. 4 old silhouettes slowly appeared, exuding an undefeatable aura. Who are you people? The Hua Imperial Emperor's face changed instantly, and his eyes were filled with horror. The 4 figures were the 4 Imperial Emperors. As soon as they appeared in the void turbulence, they created a terrifying domain, and locked the Hua Imperial Emperors in place. "Seniors, I'll leave this Hua Imperial Emperor to you. It's best if you can capture him alive. If you can't, just kill him." Ling Xiao bowed to the 4 figures and smiled. The 4 old figures were the 4 patriarchs of the White Tiger tribe, the Phoenix tribe, the qilin tribe, and the Black Tortoise tribe. Ling Xiao returned the origin secret technique to the 4 sacred clans, and the patriarchs of the 4 sacred clans promised to help Ling Xiao once. Now that the Chinese emperor had completely infuriated Ling Xiao did not hesitate and summoned the patriarchs of the 4 sacred clans. Today he was determined to complete the magnificent feat of killing an emperor. The third sect leader. Chapter 2837. Everyone in the outside world was stunned. Ling Xiao actually summoned 4 great emperors? How is that possible? Everyone's voice was trembling, and their eyes were filled with disbelief. That's 4 imperial monarchs. If Ling Xiao had summoned 4 great emperors earlier, the 8 superpowers would have been wiped out long ago. Ling Xiao is really sinister. I think he's fishing. He really did bait the great emperors out. I'm afraid the 8 superpowers are doomed this time. Could it be that they're all going to die here? Everyone's eyes were filled with respect, and they were trembling all over. They finally felt that Ling Xiao was unfathomable. The heaven's chosen one's luck was too terrifying. Just when everyone thought that this was Ling Xiao's trump card, Ling Xiao pulled out another powerful trump card that shocked everyone. For great imperial monarchs, what kind of monstrous strength was this? On the other hand, the 8 superpowers looked as if their parents had died. Their faces were extremely ugly. Finally, someone panicked and was no longer as arrogant as before. Some of them even had the thought of retreating. How could they fight this battle? Brothers, we can't let any of them leave. These people dare to offend the great heaven's chosen one, the Lord of Demons and the Chaos Lord. They are simply courting death. All of them must die. The white dragon horse trembled, looking arrogant and domineering. It shouted at the crowd with a complacent look on its face. It no longer had the slightest thought of going against Ling Xiao. It had to hug Ling Xiao's thigh tightly. The white dragon horse decided that it would obediently be Ling Xiao's mount in the future. Being a mount was a very promising job. If there was anyone who was most likely to become the 10th emperor of the human race, it would undoubtedly be Ling Xiao. When Ling Xiao became an emperor, as Ling Xiao's mount, the white dragon horse would be able to shake the heavens. That kind of prestige made the white dragon horse extremely excited. No one paid any attention to the white dragon horse, but naturally, they all released a powerful aura at the same time, locking the many powerhouses of the 8 super forces in place. Once they dared to make the slightest move, he would immediately unleash a thunderous attack and bury them all here. The atmosphere in the War God Temple instantly became tense. In the void turbulence, the 4 patriarchs locked onto the Hua Imperial Emperor. Ling Xiao, you really know how to cause trouble. There are actually 2 great sovereign emperors coming to kill you. It seems like your social relations are really bad. The white tiger old ancestor was an old man with a head of white hair and a body covered in animal skin. He looked very wild as he teased Ling Xiao. He's really good at causing trouble. However, there were always many hypocritical and shameless people in the human race. These 2 old things actually dared to sneak attack a junior? How shameless. Damn it. The Phoenix clan ancestor, an old woman with a walking stick, sneered. Her eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Ling Xiao, you're really generous. You've used up all the favors that the 4 of us owe you in one go. But that's fine too. Now that we've returned the favor, the 4 of us can relax a lot. Don't worry. This old thing can't run away. Today we'll kill him for you. The Qilin clan ancestor and the Black Tortoise clan ancestor snickered as they looked at the Hua Imperial Emperor with malicious eyes. Then, I'll have to trouble the 4 of you. Today, I'm going to start a massacre. Ling Xiao smiled faintly, but his eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Ling Xiao didn't feel that it was a pity to use up the favor of the 4 patriarchs. It wouldn't be long before Ling Xiao could take the final step and touch the Supreme Emperor realm. By then, he wouldn't need the 4 patriarchs to help him. Moreover, the Hua Imperial Emperor's strength was obviously stronger than the Reincarnation Master. Ling Xiao felt that he should have reached the 2nd heaven of the Imperial Emperor realm. With Ling Xiao's current combat strength, it would be difficult for him to kill the Hua Imperial Emperor. Although Ling Xiao looked calm on the surface, he was completely enraged by the despicable and shameless behavior of the 8 superpowers. Today he was going to start a massacre. All the enemies who came to attack the War God Temple had to die. You're the patriarchs of the 4 sacred clans? I didn't expect you to still be alive. You want to kill me? Do you think you can? Who dares to stop me if I want to leave today? The Hua Imperial Emperor's face was extremely ugly, and his eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Boom. The heavenly capital Divine Fiend flag landed in his hand and released a dazzling light. It seemed like the 12 heavenly capital Divine Fiend formation had been formed around him. It seemed to have been completely awakened and released a vast emperor's aura. He was ready to kill his way out. No one knew better than him how terrifying the patriarchs of the 4 sacred clans were. Speaking of which, the Hua Imperial Emperor was a few generations younger than the patriarchs of the 4 sacred clans. Now that the patriarchs of the 4 sacred clans were attacking at the same time, he was definitely no match for them. However, with the heavenly capital Divine Fiend flag in his hand, it shouldn't be difficult for him to escape. Seniors, I'll lend you the 10,000 demon banner. You must kill the Hua Imperial Emperor. Ling Xiao said calmly. The 10,000 demon banner released a dazzling light, and the vast emperor's aura intertwined. It instantly flew towards the 4 patriarchs. The 10,000 demon banner. TSK, that's the demon emperor's emperor weapon. It's a treasure that suppresses the fate of the demon realm. You're clearly a human. How did you become the lord of 10,000 demons? I have to say, the fate of the chosen one is really infuriating. Don't worry, this old man won't be able to escape. The White Tiger Old Ancestor took the 10,000 demon banner. His eyes were filled with emotion and envy as he spoke in a carefree manner. You want to kill me? Dream on. Get lost if you don't want to die. Those who stand in my way shall die. The Hua Imperial Emperor's expression changed as he roared. Rumble. Blazing divine light rose around him as he held the heavenly capital Divine Fiend flag in his hand. He released a vast emperor's aura and was about to charge into the distance. He wanted to break out of the encirclement of the 4 imperial emperors and escape from this place. You want to leave? Hee, you'd better stay here for me. The White Tiger Old Ancestor chuckled. Killing intent surged in his eyes, and his fighting spirit soared to the sky. The 10,000 demon banner in his hand waved in the void. In an instant, chaotic fog filled the air, and divine light rose. It was as if a mysterious scene of the opening of the world had appeared. Rumble. The 10,000 demon banner covered the sky as it swept across the void and pressed down on the Hua Imperial Emperor. The White Tiger Patriarch, the Phoenix Patriarch, the Qilin Patriarch, and the Black Tortoise Patriarch unleashed their strongest emperor's aura and charged towards the Hua Imperial Emperor. An extremely intense battle broke out between the 5 imperial emperors in the void turbulence. Reincarnation Master, you'd better stay here. Ling Xiao sneered when he saw the Reincarnation Master trying to take the 6 paths of reincarnation coffin and escape. Rumble. The Emperor's aura swept across the sky and pressed down on the 6 paths of reincarnation coffin like a huge mountain. At the same time, the chrono compass released a dazzling light. A long river of time crossed the void and intertwined with each other. The runes were dazzling as if they had frozen the time in this area. Once again, it evolved into the time prohibition territory. The 2 extreme Dao Emperor weapons flew out at the same time. Ling Xiao also flew out and threw a punch at the Samsara Master. The 3rd Sect Leader. Chapter 2838. Lord Kunwu, are you really not going to intervene? The Lord of Samsara and the Patriarch of the Chinese are both imperial emperors. If they die in Ling Xiao's hands, it will be a great loss to the human race. Above the God world, in the endless chaotic void, a handsome middle-aged man in a Taoist robe sighed softly. His eyes revealed a trace of pity. Beside him, a mysterious figure was shrouded in a chaotic mist. Although his face could not be seen clearly, he was tall like an immemorial mountain, and seemed to be able to support the chaos. Especially his eyes, they were bright and ancient, and they seemed to contain the marks of countless years. They flowed with the mark of the Grand Tao, and they were heavy and eternal like a mountain. Jiang Yuyang, you have to understand that the human race needs them, but they don't need the human race. Lord Kunwu said flatly. I understand too. They really deserved to die. For their own selfish interests, they had to kill the chosen one of the human race. However, they are imperial emperors after all. The Great Tribulation is coming and the human race is still too weak. Jiang Yuyang said with a sigh. He understood what Lord Kunwu meant. Lord Kunwu did not intend to intervene in this battle. Furthermore, Lord Kunwu wanted to use the Lord of Samsara and the Imperial Emperor of the Chinese as whetstones for Ling Xiao. Speaking of which, Lord Kunwu really valued Ling Xiao. The human race has been weak for a long time. We still need to strive for self-improvement. The human race has been too peaceful these years. Without the threat of external enemies, without the bloody battles, it's impossible for a great emperor to emerge. The Great Tribulation is a disaster for the human race, but it's also an opportunity. If a great emperor emerges, he'll be stronger than 1,000, or even 10,000 imperial emperors. Lord Kunwu said flatly. I understand. I hope this battle can teach the immortal sacred grounds a lesson. Jiang Yuyang said with a nod. Jiang Yuyang, you're about to undergo the Imperial Emperor Tribulation, right? It's not enough for the sloppy old man to protect you. After this battle, go find Ling Xiao and ask him to protect you. He should be able to help you break through safely. I'm going to make a trip there. Lord Kunwu said slowly. All right. There? Has the situation worsened again? Jiang Yuyang's expression changed. No. It should be that the Immemorial Emperor Road is about to open again. This should be the last time the Immemorial Emperor Road opens before the myriad worlds completely merge. This time, a great fortune will appear. This might be the human race's greatest opportunity. You can tell Ling Xiao that he's qualified to challenge the Immemorial Emperor Road. Lord Kunwu said. The Immemorial Emperor Road? The road to become an emperor? Good. You're right. Ling Xiao's Ling. However, his cultivation and accumulations are still lacking. I hope that when the Immemorial Emperor Road opens, he will be able to take another step forward. Jiang Yuyang's body trembled as he took a deep breath. There was a hint of anticipation in his eyes. Void Chaotic Void. The Samsara Master's expression changed drastically when he saw Ling Xiao charging at him. His body had been destroyed twice by Ling Xiao, and he'd even been struck by Ling Xiao's sovereign energy. His cultivation was practically on the verge of dropping from the Imperial Monarch realm. So how could he possibly be a match for Ling Xiao? He just wanted to get out of here as soon as possible. Rumble. However, the two extreme monarch weapons, Prison Steel and Time Compass, soared through the sky. Their extreme monarch auras intertwined and pressed down on the Six Paths reincarnation coffin, causing it to tremble violently. Samsara Master's primordial spirit wanted to use the Six Paths of reincarnation coffin to break through the void and escape, but it was difficult to do so. Samsara Master, don't waste your energy, Ling Xiao said indifferently. He punched the air. The purple fist contained the power to destroy everything. In an instant, it enveloped Samsara Master's primordial spirit. Ling Xiao, you dare to kill me? My Samsara old ancestor won't let you go. The primordial spirit of the Samsara Master roared. His eyes were filled with terror. In the end, he still couldn't escape the great fear of death. Samsara Master had cultivated to the Imperial Emperor realm with great difficulty. How could he be willing to die in Ling Xiao's hands? Samsara old ancestor? If he doesn't know what's good for him, I'll send him to see you. But today no one can save you. Ling Xiao's face was indifferent. The purple fist came down. Crack! Samsara Master's primordial spirit trembled violently. The protective boundary formed by the Six Paths of reincarnation coffin trembled, as if it would break at any time. But with the suppression of the Prison Steel and the Time Compass, the Six Paths of reincarnation coffin could no longer protect Samsara Master. A trace of fear appeared in Samsara Master's eyes. Ling Xiao, let me go. I won't be your enemy anymore. Don't kill me. I'm an Imperial Emperor of the human tribe. I can resist the invasion of the demon tribe. Under the threat of death, Samsara Master spoke with great difficulty. There was a trace of pleading in his eyes. He was completely afraid. He didn't want to die. He didn't want to die like this. A trace of regret appeared in his heart. If he hadn't been Ling Xiao's enemy, he wouldn't have ended up like this. It's too late, Ling Xiao said indifferently. Boom. The powerful boundary formed by the Six Paths of reincarnation coffin shattered. Ling Xiao's unparalleled fist came down, and directly hit Samsara Master's primordial spirit. Samsara Master's primordial spirit trembled violently and finally shattered. Rumble! Boundless sky-devouring fire rose from Ling Xiao's palm. In an instant, it enveloped Samsara Master's shattered primordial spirit, and wiped out Samsara Master's primordial spirit and consciousness. Samsara Master was dead. In the God world, heaven and earth shook and the void roared. The great path precepts descended and blood rained down from the sky. It was as if they were crying for Samsara Master's death. Imperial emperors had touched the origin of the great path. Their every move contained the great path of heaven and earth. Therefore, after they died, they would naturally trigger the great path of heaven and earth. Samsara Master has died? In the God world, everyone's eyes were filled with horror. Although they had expected this, seeing Samsara Master killed by Ling Xiao with their own eyes was still extremely shocking. An Imperial Emperor expert had died at Ling Xiao's hands just like that. Rumble. Ling Xiao took a step forward and returned from the turbulence of the void. He reappeared in the sky above the God world. His entire body exuded a mighty aura, as dazzling as the sun. No one dared to look him in the eyes. They lowered their heads, and their eyes were filled with reverence. The master of Samsara is dead. Everyone listen to my orders. Kill all the invaders from the 8 super forces. Ling Xiao's eyes were cold. His gaze fell on the numerous experts from the 8 super forces who were in a panic. He gave the order forcefully. Obey the order of the Master of Demons. Kill. Obey the order of the Master of Chaos. Kill. The army of holy masters and sages under Ling Xiao's command roared. Their eyes were filled with fanatical worship. Their fighting spirit was soaring. In an instant, like a torrent, they charged toward the experts from the 8 super forces. Bang! Chapter 2839. Rumble. An intense battle broke out in the sky above the War God Hall. Ling Xiao's 30 over heavenly masters led an army of more than 100,000 sages, and formed a powerful battle formation. They surrounded the top powers of the 8 super forces, and wanted to kill them all. As for the experts of the 8 super forces, their faces were filled with panic. They did not have the slightest bit of fighting spirit. All they wanted to do was to escape from this place. Retreat. Let's go. Ling Xiao, are you really going to fight us to the death? The holy masters of the 7 super forces all had ugly expressions on their faces. Their eyes were filled with shock and anger as they roared at the crowd. They knew that they had lost this battle completely. Even the reincarnation master had died in Ling Xiao's hands. The emperor king of the Hua tribe was besieged by the old ancestors of the 4 sacred tribes, and no one knew if he was dead or alive. If they stayed to fight, they would be annihilated in the end. Boom, boom, boom. Powerful Extreme Dao Emperor weapons soared into the sky and intertwined with dazzling Extreme Dao Emperor aura. Their auras were extremely terrifying and caused the surrounding void to tremble violently. 6 powerful Extreme Dao Emperor weapons appeared in the void. The 6 sacred masters activated the Extreme Dao Emperor weapons at the same time, and wanted to create a void passage to allow the top powers to leave. You want to leave? Do you think the War God Hall is a place where you can come and go as you please? Long Outyin sneered coldly. Rumble. In an instant, with Long Outyin taking the lead, the top powers of the 5 sacred tribes activated the 5 Extreme Dao Emperor weapons at the same time. 5 illusory figures of sacred beasts appeared in the void. The roars of dragons and tigers were ancient and mysterious as they exuded a majestic aura. Lu Bai also activated the Heavenly Emperor's seal. It was like an ancient sacred mountain that suppressed the chaos. Its aura was ancient and majestic as if it could suppress everything. Similarly, the 6 Extreme Dao Emperor weapons rushed forward to fight against the 6 Great Saint Masters. Their Extreme Dao Emperor auras collided with each other, destroying everything. Crack. The void shattered like a mirror. The 12 Extreme Dao Emperor weapons clashed in the void. In an instant, everything was annihilated. A terrifying void storm swept out, engulfing everything. The void passageway was instantly destroyed. Under the collision of the 12 Extreme Dao Emperor weapons, the experts from the 8 super forces were unable to leave. Freeze. A gleam of light flashed through Ling Xiao's eyes. The time compass immediately flew out from his hand and began to revolve. It directly enveloped the entire war god hall, forming a vast time barrier. Although Ling Xiao didn't mind starting a war in the war god's temple, he didn't want the war god's temple to be destroyed. Hence, he used the time compass to protect the war god's temple. Rumble. As for the heavenly might, it was like a prison steel that soared through the sky and directly smashed towards the 7 Saint Masters. It contained a monstrous divine might. The expressions of the 7 Saint Lords were extremely ugly. Their eyes were filled with fear as they felt a fatal killing intent from Ling Xiao's body. They frantically activated their extreme Dao Emperor auras, wanting to block the heavenly might that was like a prison steel. However, the 6 extreme Dao Emperor weapons were firmly trapped by Long Outyan and the others. Ling Xiao's eyes were incomparably cold. He soared through the sky and a terrifying aura rose around him. Purple fist imprints swept out in all directions, containing a murderous intent that could annihilate everything. Boom. One of the utmost Dao Emperor experts couldn't dodge in time, and was directly smashed into a bloody pulp by the heavenly might. Instantly, he exploded into a rain of blood in the void. Ling Xiao soared through the void and unleashed his peerless combat strength. The heavenly might crashed into the bodies of the Saint Masters. The Saint Masters trembled violently and coughed out blood. They quickly retreated. However, Ling Xiao's unparalleled fist imprints came crashing down. The Saint Master of the Darkness Heavenly Sect couldn't dodge in time, and Ling Xiao's fist imprints pierced through his chest. Boom! Blazing flames rose. The Saint Master of the Darkness Heavenly Sect was burned by the heaven-devouring fire that spewed out from Ling Xiao's palm. He let out a miserable shriek and was instantly turned into ashes. As for his primordial spirit, it was devoured by Ling Xiao's heaven-devouring secret skill. Although Ling Xiao's cultivation had reached the heavenly honorable realm, he still needed to accumulate a lot of power to take that final step. In Ling Xiao's eyes, although the 8 supreme experts deserved to die, they were more like nourishment to him. Their great Dao nomological principles and holy Dao origins were the best nourishment for Ling Xiao to reach a higher realm. Boom, boom, boom. Ling Xiao soared through the void as a terrifying aura rose around him. He continuously attacked the Saint Masters. Although the Saint Masters were powerful and wielded extreme Dao Emperor weapons, they were no match for Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao, let us go. We promise that we'll never be your enemy again. Ling Xiao, as long as you spare my life, I'm willing to submit to you. Lord Ling Xiao, please don't kill me. The few sacred lords and powerful heavenly venerates, who were usually high and mighty, had looks of horror in their eyes as they begged Ling Xiao for mercy. They could feel the threat of death. They didn't want to die here in such a sullen manner. Boom. However, Ling Xiao's eyes were cold, and he didn't show any mercy. Every punch contained the supreme power that could destroy an era. The Saint Masters died under his peerless punches. Their physical bodies turned into ashes, and their primordial spirits and holy Dao origins became nourishment for Ling Xiao. They were devoured by Ling Xiao. Not long after, the 7 Saint Masters were completely killed by Ling Xiao. After devouring the holy Dao origins and primordial spirits of the 7 Saint Masters, the power of Ling Xiao's primordial spirit increased by a few times. His body was filled with boundless power, and the terrifying fluctuations caused the surrounding void to tremble violently. Ling Xiao's body spewed out purple divine light. His aura was terrifying to the extreme. The explosive power made his battle intent burn even brighter as he charged towards those experts. In this intense battle, Ling Xiao's entire body seemed to be sublimated. The aura around him grew stronger and stronger, and an invincible aura filled the air. It was as though he had become the center of this world. No one dared to look at him directly. Spare me. Run, Ling Xiao isn't the chosen one. He's a demon. He's a traitor to the human race. Cries of agony rang out in the sky above the war god hall. Some were begging for mercy, while others were cursing Ling Xiao. However, no matter how they screamed, they couldn't escape from this hellish battlefield. With Ling Xiao in the lead, Long Outyan, Old Goat, and Aishang, and many other experts charged out together. Their eyes were cold, and their killing intent soared. They exploded with their strongest power, and launched an overwhelming massacre. The entire sky above the war god hall was filled with the thick smell of blood. Broken limbs flew everywhere, and everyone was badly mutilated. The scene was extremely horrifying. Third Sect Master. Chapter 2840. Almost all the people who were watching the battle were scared out of their wits. Even if there were some people who stayed behind, their faces were pale, and their eyes were filled with incomparable shock. They had not expected Ling Xiao to be so ruthless. Not only did he kill the reincarnation master, but he also wanted to kill all the experts from the 8 super forces. The 7 holy masters were all killed by Ling Xiao even though they had emperor weapons. The remaining experts were like turtles in a jar. Without a leader, it was only a matter of time before they were defeated. Does Ling Xiao really want to kill all the 8 super forces? He's too ruthless. These are the elite experts from the Chinese and the various immortal sacred grounds. They are also the pillars of the human race. If they die here, the human race's strength will be greatly reduced. Someone discussed softly, full of dissatisfaction with Ling Xiao. I'm afraid no one can stop him. Ling Xiao is too ruthless. Blood flowed like a river in the war god shrine. After this battle, his name will spread throughout the realm of the gods and even the myriad of worlds. The Chosen One? This is the Chosen One? How is he different from an evil demon with such a ruthless character? The spectators were all very dissatisfied with Ling Xiao. Some of them even had looks of resentment in their eyes. However, there were also people who expressed different opinions. The 8 great superpowers only have themselves to blame for ending up in such a state today. If they hadn't coveted Ling Xiao's treasures and inheritance, how could Ling Xiao have been so ruthless? That's right. They asked for it. If others wanted to kill you, would you be soft-hearted and let them go? If it were me, I wouldn't let them go either. However, after this battle, no one in the realm of the gods will dare to go against Ling Xiao. Not only is Ling Xiao's combat strength incredible, but he also has such a terrifying force. I'm afraid Ling Xiao and the War God Shrine will shine in the realm of the gods. The Chaotic Heaven Sect, Destiny Shrine, and myriad Buddha Temple who have remained neutral should feel lucky, right? If they had come today, they would have suffered the same fate. That's hard to say. The Chaotic Heaven Sect, Destiny Shrine, and myriad Buddha Temple are all immortal sacred grounds with Emperor Realm experts. If they had joined the battle today, the outcome would be hard to say. Speaking of which, the Destiny Shrine seemed to have offended Ling Xiao before. 200 years ago, the Destiny Shrine had contributed a lot in the battle at Ling Xiao Mountain Range. I wonder if Ling Xiao will pursue the matter with the Destiny Shrine. Everyone was discussing animatedly. The sight of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood shocked them. At the same time, they thought of many things, including the possible impact of this battle. From today onwards, the entire structure of the God realm was going to change. Ling Xiao had already matured into a supreme expert who played an important role in the divine realm. No one dared to covet him anymore. Ling Xiao used this earth-shattering battle to establish his supreme position. The 6 powerful extreme Dao Emperor weapons and the 6 paths reincarnation coffin in the void had lost control after Ling Xiao killed the holy masters. They broke through the void and flew back to the immortal sacred grounds. The extreme Dao Emperor weapons were the supreme treasures of the sacred grounds. The holy masters only had temporary rights to use them, and they were not their owners. Therefore, after the holy masters were defeated, the extreme Dao Emperor weapons flew back to the immortal sacred grounds. Ling Xiao did not stop them as he knew that the extreme Dao Emperor weapons had their own weapon spirits and they had their own wills. He could not subdue the extreme Dao Emperor weapons yet. However, the death of the holy masters and the return of the extreme Dao Emperor weapons sped up the defeat of the 8 super forces. In the void, divine light flashed. One by one, figures burst forth with terrifying auras and charged towards the experts of the 8 super forces. Du Guqiubai, Yi Liangchen, Yi Qingqing and the others did not hesitate and attacked fiercely. There was no suspense in the battle. Soon the battle ended. 24 heavenly venerables died in the battle. Almost half of the thousands of sage kings died in the battle. The remaining sage kings all knelt down and begged for mercy. They managed to keep their lives temporarily. More than 10,000 great sages and sages were severely injured. Only around 2,000 sages were left. They were trembling and surrounded by Ling Xiao's army of sages. They also chose to surrender. Some of the 24 heavenly venerables chose to surrender. However, Ling Xiao did not accept their surrender and killed them all. Around the War God Hall, the land within a 100,000-mile radius had turned into a battlefield. The mountains and rivers were dyed red with blood. The air was filled with the stench of blood. The battle was extremely tragic. The enemies of the 8 super forces were completely annihilated. Rumble. Ling Xiao was like a bright sun that floated in the sky. His body emitted dazzling light and his aura was terrifying. The surrounding void was trembling violently. His body was filled with endless life origin energy. His life origin energy was as vast as the sea and extremely vigorous. Even imperial emperors might not be as vigorous as his life origin energy. More than half of the 24 heavenly venerables had their primordial spirits and holy Tao origins devoured by Ling Xiao. This made his aura even more unfathomable. This battle has saved me 1,000 years of hard work. Ling Xiao exclaimed in his heart. His eyes were extremely bright. He felt that he was one step closer to the Supreme God realm. It was as if he could touch it. The remaining experts of the 8 super forces were all trembling. They did not dare to look at Ling Xiao. They chose to live in humiliation, but they did not know if Ling Xiao would let them live. Junior Marshal Uncle, you have killed enough people today. Why don't you spare them? Lu Bai whispered to Ling Xiao. He was afraid that Ling Xiao would go berserk and kill all those who chose to surrender. They can be spared from death, but they can't escape punishment. Ask them to hand over their primordial spirit imprints and submit to the elders and disciples of the War God Hall. They can be spared from death. Otherwise, let them all die. Ling Xiao said indifferently. His eyes were extremely sharp. Many of the elders and disciples of the War God Hall looked at Ling Xiao with fervent admiration. After hearing Ling Xiao's words, someone couldn't help but exclaim, War God Ling Xiao is invincible. War God Ling Xiao is invincible. War God Ling Xiao is invincible. A series of voices rang out and resounded in the sky above the War God Hall. They were filled with fanatical admiration. Ling Xiao's prestige instantly reached its peak. /book_62507/L. Chapter 2841. Crack. The void shattered with a loud bang. The patriarchs of the 4 sacred clans appeared above the War God Hall, exuding a vast and unparalleled aura. Among them, the White Tiger Patriarch was holding the Hua Clan Emperor, who was covered in blood. The Hua Clan Emperor looked extremely miserable. There were spiderweb-like cracks all over his body, and his body was about to explode. He coughed out pale golden blood, and his eyes were filled with anger. Not only was he severely injured, but he was also sealed by the patriarchs of the 4 sacred clans. Ling Xiao, you want him alive? The White Tiger Patriarch casually threw the Hua Clan Emperor to Ling Xiao's feet. The Hua Clan Emperor could not move like a dead dog, and his eyes were filled with humiliation. The Hua Clan Emperor was captured alive. Someone exclaimed in a trembling voice. That was the Hua Clan Emperor, who had broken through to the Imperial Emperor realm earlier than the Reincarnation Master. Now he was lying at Ling Xiao's feet like a dead dog. He looked extremely miserable and miserable. The patriarchs of the 4 sacred clans were so terrifying. Speaking of which, there was no suspense in this battle. The patriarchs of the 4 sacred clans were very ancient. In terms of seniority, they were several generations older than the Hua Clan Emperor. Their cultivation was unfathomable, and each of them was more powerful than the Hua Clan Emperor. In addition, Ling Xiao had lent them the 10,000 demon banner to block the heavenly capital divine fiend flag of the Hua Clan. The Hua Clan Imperial Emperor was naturally no match for the 4 patriarchs. He couldn't even commit suicide and was captured alive. Thank you, seniors. Ling Xiao smiled and cupped his hands at the patriarchs. You're welcome. Kid, I'm afraid you'll surpass the 4 of us in no time. The humans are a bunch of hypocrites. I think you'd better be the Lord of Demons and lead billions of demons in the future, and become the Demon Emperor. Wouldn't that be great? The White Tiger Patriarch handed the 10,000 Demons banner to Ling Xiao reluctantly and smiled. That's right. Ling Xiao, you have the ancestral dragon bloodline, and should be a member of the demon clan. You should draw a clear line with the humans as soon as possible. Out of sight, out of mind. Otherwise, you'll be tricked by them all the time. The Phoenix clan ancestor also nodded. Senior, don't worry. I am me. I am Ling Xiao. I won't be controlled by them. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. He naturally understood the meaning behind the words of the White Tiger ancestor and the Phoenix ancestor. However, Ling Xiao didn't care about this. Be it the chosen one of the human tribe, or the lord of infinite demons of the demon tribe, everything was meaningless in the face of the great tribulation of the new era. He just wanted to have enough power to protect the people he cared about. That was all. I'm glad you understand. Then we'll take our leave first. If you have time, come back to the demon realm and chat with us four old guys. The Qilin ancestor and the Black Tortoise ancestor smiled at Ling Xiao. Senior, take care. Ling Xiao agreed with a smile. The four ancestors were originally here to return Ling Xiao's favor. Now that they had captured the emperor of the Hua clan alive, there was no need for them to continue staying here. Ling Xiao opened a space tunnel with his heavenly might. The four ancestors turned around and entered the space tunnel, returning to the demon realm. Although the barrier of the divine realm had weakened by quite a bit, it wasn't that easy for a monarch expert to forcefully tear through the barrier. All of this was because of Ling Xiao's heavenly might, which was like a prison monument that could open up a void passage to the demon realm. As the emperor of the Hua clan was captured alive, the curtains of the battle had completely fallen. Ling Xiao had won a complete victory. Although the sage rulers and sages who were still alive were extremely unwilling, they still chose to compromise in the face of the threat of death, and handed over their natal primordial spirit brands. Ling Xiao stepped into the void, radiating a dazzling light around him. His eyes were bright and dazzling. Under everyone's gaze he suddenly shouted, "From today onwards, anyone who dares to offend the War God Temple will be killed without mercy." The Hua clan, the Samsara Temple, the 9 Imperial Gates, the 5 Elements Celestial Sect, the Spacetime Heavenly Gate, the Heavenly Curse Sect, the Darkness Heavenly Sect, and the Annihilation Temple will give me an explanation within 3 days. You'll have to pay the price for besieging me and killing the disciples of the War God Temple. Otherwise, don't blame me for coming to punish you. Rumble. Ling Xiao's voice was like a sudden clap of thunder. It contained a vast amount of the great Tao and spread in all directions. Ling Xiao's voice seemed to reverberate in the vast 33 heavens of the God realm. What happened? Ling Xiao didn't die? Could it be that the 8 superpowers didn't manage to kill Ling Xiao? Someone raised his head, and his eyes were filled with bewilderment. Although many people had gone to the War God Temple to watch the battle, there were even more people who were afraid of being implicated, and didn't go to the Shangqing Heaven Domain. Moreover, many people believed that there was no suspense in this battle. Ling Xiao and the War God Temple would most likely disappear from the God realm from today onwards. However, Ling Xiao's voice caused everyone to be incomparably shocked. The majesty, mystery, and domineering aura contained in that voice made everyone tremble uncontrollably. It was as if he was a high and mighty ancient great emperor. Ling Xiao actually wanted the 8 superpowers to give him an explanation. Otherwise, he would come to punish them. Wasn't he afraid of the 8 superpowers' anger? What happened to the War God Temple? All kinds of communication methods were sent to the War God Temple. As the spectators of the War God Temple dispersed, the result of the battle spread rapidly. In an extremely short period of time, it spread across the 33 heavens and the entire God realm. The 8 superpowers besieged the War God Temple. Ling Xiao came out with 36 heavenly venerables, and an army of more than 100,000 saints. He surrounded the experts of the 8 superpowers and shocked the world. Ling Xiao and the Reincarnation Master had a fair fight. Ling Xiao killed the Reincarnation Master in the Void Turbulence, setting the record of a heavenly venerate slaying an imperial emperor. The Chinese imperial emperor came out of the 6 paths of reincarnation coffin and attacked Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao was enraged and summoned 4 imperial emperors to kill the Chinese imperial emperor. Ling Xiao killed 7 saint lords in a row, and ordered the experts under his command to kill all the enemies of the 8 super forces. Ling Xiao won the battle of the War God Temple. The 8 superpowers were annihilated. The news spread out one after another. It was incomparably shocking. In an instant, the entire divine world began to tremble. Those were the 8 superpowers. The Chinese were the descendants of great Emperor Tian. The 8 superpowers' full strength was enough to set off an earth-shattering war with the demon realm. However, no one expected that not only did the 8 superpowers fail to kill Ling Xiao, but they were also annihilated. The news of this battle was too shocking. Especially the fact that Ling Xiao had 36 heavenly venerables, and an army of more than 100,000 saints under his command. This shocked everyone and stunned the entire god realm. What kind of terrifying force was this? This news made their entire bodies tremble, even more than Ling Xiao slaughtering 8 great Empyrean powerhouses in succession. And their hearts trembled endlessly. 200 years had passed, and Ling Xiao was still the same Ling Xiao who dominated the world. The difference was that he was no longer alone this time. He had 36 heavenly venerables and an army of more than 100,000 saints. His appearance shook the entire god realm. Chapter 2842. In the Battle of the War God Temple, many experts from the 8 super forces were annihilated. The reincarnation master was killed by Ling Xiao, and the Chinese emperor was captured alive by Ling Xiao. Moreover, Ling Xiao had announced that he wanted the 8 super forces to give him an explanation within 3 days. Otherwise, he would come knocking on their door. His domineering attitude shocked everyone. Although the Chinese and the 7 immortal sanctuaries suffered heavy losses in this battle, they have a strong foundation. Their sects are also protected by the flawless emperor formation. Does Ling Xiao really dare to come knocking on their door? That's possible. Ling Xiao has many experts under his command. He even has dozens of heavenly masters. It's enough to wipe out an immortal sanctuary. After this battle, I'm afraid the Chinese and the 7 immortal sanctuaries won't dare to underestimate Ling Xiao. With this great victory, Ling Xiao has forged an invincible momentum. I'm afraid no one in the divine world will dare to challenge him. I'm afraid those who have offended Ling Xiao are now secretly regretting it. If this god of slaughter really comes knocking on their door, I'm afraid there will be a bloodbath. I wonder how the 8 super forces will deal with this. Everyone was discussing animatedly. At the same time, they were also paying attention to the 8 super forces' reaction. They wanted to know how the 8 super forces would deal with Ling Xiao's domineering attitude. The Chinese. He's gone too far. Does Ling Xiao really think that the Chinese are easy to bully? Quickly send a message to Ling Xiao. Ask him to release our old ancestor immediately. Otherwise, he'll die a horrible death. Among the Chinese, a few figures with terrifying auras opened their eyes. Their eyes were filled with rage. No. Old ancestors, our patriarch and 2 old ancestors have died in Ling Xiao's hands. Our old ancestor was even captured alive by Ling Xiao. We can't anger Ling Xiao now. Why don't we offer him some rare treasures, and send someone to beg Ling Xiao to let our old ancestor go? That's the most important thing. Someone hurriedly advised. The Chinese were currently shrouded in a sorrowful atmosphere. When the news of the battle in the War God Temple spread, everyone was shocked and furious. They couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe that all the Hua powerhouses had been wiped out. Even the Hua Imperial Emperor had been captured alive by Ling Xiao. But when the Tiandu Divine Fiend flag flew back, more and more news came. Only then did they have no choice but to believe that this was actually true. The remaining celestial venerable ancestors of the Hua clan were infuriated. They wanted to kill Ling Xiao to avenge the deaths of their clansmen. However, there were also people who were extremely clear-headed. They felt that Ling Xiao's momentum was already set and could not be stopped. They had to give in to Ling Xiao, and saving the old ancestor was the most important thing. In the forbidden area of the Chinese, their spiritual wills were intertwined. Finally, they reached a consensus and began to send their envoys to the War God Shrine. Apart from the Chinese, the reactions of the other 7 immortal holy lands were also different. Some of the immortal sacred grounds were completely terrified by Ling Xiao. They didn't dare to make an enemy out of Ling Xiao anymore. After hearing Ling Xiao's 3-day deadline, they panicked and sent envoys to the War God Hall in an attempt to resolve their grudges. There were also some immortal sacred grounds. Although they were wary of Ling Xiao, most of them were furious. Moreover, they felt that Ling Xiao couldn't possibly break their sect's flawless emperor formation, so they decided to defend their sect and expressed an incomparably unyielding attitude. The entire god realm had become turbulent with undercurrents. War God Shrine. The battle that shocked the entire divine realm had ended. Countless mountains within 100,000 miles of the War God Shrine were turned into dust. The ground sank and turned into a vast ocean. Although the War God Shrine's disciples had cleaned up the area, the air was still filled with a thick smell of blood. There were even powerful Dao marks imprinted on the mountain rocks, causing the laws to intertwine as if forming a deadly domain. This battlefield seemed to have become a natural barrier for the War God Shrine, preventing the powerhouses of the divine realm from spying on them. Above the War Mountain, a sea of clouds drifted. The round moon in the sky was as bright as a silver plate, sprinkling down cold light, illuminating the peak of the War Mountain like a paradise. At this moment, bonfires were lit on the War God Shrine's peak. Many of the higher-ups of the War God Shrine had gathered at the peak of the War God Shrine, sitting around a stone table filled with all kinds of delicacies and rare fruits. Everyone was drinking and chatting happily. Lu Bai, Celestial Sovereign Jianfeng, Pangu Celestial Dipper, Lu Wenzheng, and the others were among them. The white dragon horse and the old goat had their arms around each other's shoulders. Each of them held a wine jug and were drunk. Their eyes were rolling around as they whispered to each other. No one knew what they were thinking. Taoist Wuliang was handsome and elegant. He looked like an expert who had achieved the Tao. At this moment, he was holding Yi Qingqing's hand and reading his palm. Yi Qingqing's eyes were sparkling. His handsome face was flushed because of the alcohol. At this moment, he was chatting happily with Taoist Wuliang. Yi Liangchen was also trying to please Yi Qingqing. However, he was ignored by Yi Qingqing. This made Yi Liangchen extremely depressed. Long Outyan by Han Song and the others were having a drinking competition. They were all drinking happily and were extremely excited. Ling Xiao was carrying little Changsheng, sitting between Jin Sei and Xue Wei. He was feeding Changsheng fruits while chatting with Jin Sei and Xue Wei. Everyone seemed to be drunk. After the intense battle, everyone was extremely relaxed. Moreover, many of them were old friends who had not seen each other for a long time. Now that they were reunited after such a long time, they seemed to have a lot to talk about. Ling Xiao, if no one from the immortal sacred grounds comes in 3 days, are you really going to ask for forgiveness? Dugu Qiubai held a crystal glass and filled it to the brim. He walked over and raised his glass to Ling Xiao. That's right. If they are sincere enough, I can let bygones be bygones and write off all the grudges in the past. However, if they don't show any sincerity, I can only ask for forgiveness. Ling Xiao smiled faintly with a sharp glint in his eyes. Ling Xiao, the Chinese and the immortal sacred grounds are extremely powerful. They were able to win today's battle because they were too careless. If you ask for forgiveness, I'm afraid they will do you harm. Dugu Qiubai said slowly. Are you talking about the flawless emperor formation or the emperor's will? Don't worry. If they really dare to take it out, they can't blame me for starting a war of extermination. Ling Xiao said faintly. Oh, it seems like you know about it. That's right. A flawless emperor formation is already difficult to deal with. However, once the emperor's will is awakened, it will possess the strength of a great emperor. This is the true strength of the immortal sacred grounds. Although they won't use it easily, they won't hesitate to use it if you push them too far. Dugu Qiubai nodded and warned Ling Xiao seriously. End of chapter. Chapter 2843. A flawless emperor formation contained the power to destroy the world. Once it was activated, the emperor's aura could even kill an imperial emperor. As for the emperor's will, it was formed from the energy left behind by the emperor. Although it was only a one-time use, it was extremely terrifying. It was comparable to an awakened emperor, and could unleash the power to destroy the world. Dugu Qiubai was most worried about the emperor's will. They won't dare to use the emperor's will easily. Moreover, even if they use the emperor's will, I have a way to resist it. However, if the emperor's will can't kill me, we'll be mortal enemies. Don't blame me for being ruthless. Ling Xiao said slowly. Good lad, you're right. The Chinese and the 7 immortal sanctuaries are not good people. Haven't they bullied the combat god temple over the years? This time, we'll let them know how powerful we are. If they don't admit their mistakes, we'll go to them and punish them. Celestial Master Zhanfeng also came forward with a big wine jar and sneered. The combat god temple doesn't want to start a war, but we're not afraid of it. They should have thought of the consequences when they sent their experts to the combat god temple. Junior Marshal Uncle, I support you. If you want to fight, you'll have to beat them until they're afraid of us. Lu Bai said in an unyielding manner. Although they had won the battle, if they had lost, Ling Xiao would have died and the combat god temple would have been wiped out. Since they were already mortal enemies, there was no need for him to show any mercy. If that's the case, it's up to them to decide. Ling Xiao, if you need me, I can accompany you to kill the immortal sanctuaries and punish them. Dugu Qiubai said seriously. Thank you, Senior Dugu. I'm already very grateful that you've come this time. However, don't worry. If they really want to punish us, the experts under me are more than enough. Ling Xiao said with a smile. This time, Ling Xiao was very grateful to Dugu Qiubai for coming to his aid. This included Yi Liangchen, Yi Qingcheng, Extermination Daolord, and the others. They weren't aware of Ling Xiao's trump cards. Yet they'd still chosen to lend him a hand under such dangerous circumstances. Ling Xiao had to remember this kindness. Ling Xiao, the old goat, and I have discussed it. Why don't we go to the 8 super forces and punish them directly? There's no need to give them 3 days. The old goat and I will sneak in and break their formation. We'll take their formation discs and flags. Then we'll take their treasures and punish them. Let's destroy 8 super forces. And the white dragon horse and the old goat walked up with their arms around each other's shoulders. Their eyes were filled with mischief as they laughed mischievously. 2. Even if they're afraid of you now and don't dare to seek revenge, they won't let you go once they have the chance. If you don't kill the snake, it'll hurt you. Why don't you kill them all to prevent future trouble? The old goat sneered as if he wanted to see the world in chaos. These 2 guys were bold. They didn't mind watching a show. Now they were instigating Ling Xiao to destroy the Chinese and the 7 immortal sacred grounds. Ling Xiao ignored them. His eyes suddenly fell on the sea of clouds in the distance. Rumble. Over there, the sea of clouds was ethereal. A handsome and elegant figure stepped on the moon. He had a faint smile on his face. He looked otherworldly like an immortal. Heavenly Venerable Jade Sun? Junior Ling Xiao greets Heavenly Venerable Jade Sun. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He recognized the middle-aged man in front of him. His face turned solemn as he cupped his hands and bowed to the middle-aged man. Jiang Yuyang, Heavenly Venerable Jade Sun. He was once a peerless genius of the human clan. Now he was one of the guardians of the human clan. His strength was monstrous and unfathomable. His cultivation had long reached the Heavenly Venerable realm. 200 years ago, during the battle at the Ling Xiao mountain range, Heavenly Venerable Jade Sun and Heavenly Venerable Sloppy had helped Ling Xiao block many experts. Ling Xiao had always been grateful to Jiang Yuyang. It was just that he didn't have the chance to express his gratitude to Jiang Yuyang in person. He didn't expect Jiang Yuyang to come to the War God Temple today. Greetings, Heavenly Venerable Jade Sun. Lu Bai and the others also recognized Jiang Yuyang, so they bowed to him. Haha. Everyone, there's no need to be so polite. Please rise. Jiang Yuyang smiled. His smile was like a gentle breeze, giving people a very amiable feeling. He waved his sleeve and lifted everyone up. Jiang Yuyang? You haven't broken through to the Imperial Emperor realm yet. Looks like you've really lived like a dog. Something's wrong. You're about to break through? After Heavenly Venerable Zhanfeng saw Jiang Yuyang, he could not help saying with a sidelong glance. He and Jiang Yuyang were figures of the same generation. They were both proud sons of heaven back then. But Heavenly Venerable Zhanfeng had to admit that even he could only pale in comparison in front of Jiang Yuyang. The Jiang Yuyang back then was too dazzling. Brother Zhanfeng, long time no see. How have you been recently? Jiang Yuyang said to Heavenly Venerable Zhanfeng with a slight smile. Still all right. It's just that I didn't expect that you finally took this step. You've already wasted too much time. If my conjectures are right, your human sovereign great Tao is already perfected, right? Taking this step is the path of invincibility, a peerless imperial emperor. Wasting so much time, I also don't know if it's right or wrong. Heavenly Venerable Zhang eyes revealed a hint of complexity as he said. Whether it's a blessing or a curse, who can say for sure? Brother Zhang, I came here this time to borrow Ling Xiao. I want him to stand guard for me, Jiang Yuyang said with a slight smile, looking very candid and confident. Stand guard? Ling Xiao was slightly taken aback. He also detected that Jiang Yuyang's current cultivation already reached the pinnacle of Empyrean realm. Furthermore, his body emitted an undulation that made Ling Xiao feel incomparably dangerous, his aura unfathomable. Jiang Yuyang was preparing to transcend the Imperial Lord tribulation and break through to the realm of Imperial Lord. It was just that Ling Xiao did not expect that Jiang Yuyang would actually come to find him to be a protector. Have Ling Xiao stand guard for you? No way. Old fellow. It can't be that you don't know that Ling Xiao is my human race's heaven's chosen son, right? He can't have any mishap. You're simply a hornet's nest right now. When transcending the tribulation, you'll likely attract countless troubles. With Ling Xiao's current cultivation, he's completely unable to deal with it. I can stand guard for you. Even if I have to risk this old life of mine for you, I won't hesitate either. After hearing Jiang Yuyang's words, Heavenly Venerable Zhang Feng's expression instantly changed, and he flatly refused. P.S. There are only 2 updates today. Everyone, rest early. Tomorrow 4. End of this chapter. Chapter 2844. Ancestor, 200 years ago, Heavenly Venerable Jade Sun fought for me. It's only right for me to protect him. Why are you objecting? There was a hint of doubt in Ling Xiao's eyes. He didn't expect Celestial Venerable Zhang Feng to have such a big reaction. Celestial Venerable Zhang Feng and Jiang Yuyang seemed to be good friends. However, Celestial Venerable Zhang Feng immediately turned hostile when Jiang Yuyang asked Ling Xiao to protect him. Ling Xiao, it's not a problem to protect others. However, I'm afraid your life will be in danger if you protect this old fellow. Of course I can't agree. Celestial Venerable Zhang Feng said seriously. Why is that? Not knowing that it was Ling Xiao, the surrounding people were also very confused. Ling Xiao, you might not know. Ever since the 9 thearchs of the human race hasn't produced another great emperor. This is also the beginning of the human race's decline. However, do you know what Jiang Yuyang was once called? He and the Great Void Emperor were both considered the most promising candidates to become the human race's 10th emperor. Celestial Venerable Zhang Feng sighed and said slowly, the human race's 10th emperor? Celestial Venerable Jade Sun is actually so monstrous? Celestial Venerable Pangu couldn't help but exclaim. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. He had actually heard Celestial Venerable Zhang Feng mention the Great Void Emperor. Ling Xiao was the successor of the Great Void Imperial Emperor, and had obtained the Great Void Imperial Emperor's Great Void Heart Talisman scripture. He had also learned from Uncle Su that the Great Void Imperial Emperor was the most monstrous person 90 million years ago. He had once slaughtered great emperors with the creation Jade Butterfly as an Imperial Emperor. However, although Jiang Yuyang's cultivation was extraordinary, he was only a Celestial Venerable now. How could he be on par with the Great Void Emperor? Zhang Feng is right. Jiang Yuyang can indeed be on par with Master, and be known as the human race's peerless duo. It's a pity that Jiang Yuyang might never be able to become an emperor. Uncle Su's voice rang in Ling Xiao's mind as if he had seen through the doubts in his heart. Jiang Yuyang's expression was calm, and there was a faint smile on his face. However, when Celestial Venerable Zhang Feng mentioned the Great Void Emperor, there was a hint of sadness in his eyes. Ling Xiao also felt that Jiang Yuyang's gaze had paused on him for a moment. Could it be? Jiang Yuyang can see the Great Void Emperor's legacy? Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. Jiang Yuyang and the Great Void Emperor are known as the 2 peerless geniuses of the human race. You all should be very clear about the Great Void Emperor. He was already an Imperial Emperor expert 90 million years ago. He even defied the heavens and killed great emperors before. However, you might not be aware that Jiang Yuyang was already an imperial emperor expert 90 million years ago. He even has some connections with the celestial emperor. Emperor Zhanfeng continued to explain. He was already an imperial emperor 90 million years ago. Why is he only at the Empyrean realm now? Could it be that something has happened? Everyone's eyes were filled with curiosity. They naturally knew of Emperor Taishu's name, but Jiang Yuyang and the others felt a little unfamiliar. It was as if he wasn't as famous as Emperor Taishu. Because Jiang Yuyang cultivates the great Tao of the human sovereign. He'd broken through to the imperial monarch realm 8 times, and his cultivation had fallen to the level of a mortal 8 times. He'd experienced countless dangers and tribulations, and he'd lived 8 lives. This is already his 9th life. Emperor Zhanfeng looked deeply at Jiang Yuyang and slowly said, "What? 8 lives? Broke through to the imperial monarch realm 8 times?" Ling Zhao's entire body trembled. His eyes revealed a dazzling light. This news made everyone's entire body tremble. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. Even Shui Wei's eyes flickered with light. Was there really a reincarnation cycle in this world? Even Shui Wei, who cultivated the great Tao of reincarnation and comprehended the origin of reincarnation, didn't dare to say it. Even great emperors probably didn't know. A person's death was like an extinguished lamp, returning to heaven and earth. Although a person had a true spirit, even if they died, their true spirit still existed. However, no one knew where the true spirit went to. Even great emperors didn't have reincarnation, let alone Jiang Yuyang. How did he do it? Although it's very hard for you to believe, it's the truth. Moreover, I'm afraid even Jiang Yuyang himself can't explain it. However, the main point is that he cultivated the human emperor's great Tao. 9 is the limit. This is his 9th life, so his imperial monarch tribulation is also the most difficult one. It concerns whether his human emperor's great Tao can be completely perfected. In his 8th life, which was 90 million years ago, when he was transcending the imperial monarch tribulation, he was besieged by imperial monarch powerhouses from the devil race, underworld race, dead spirit race, ghost race, and other foreign races. In the end, although he transcended the imperial monarch tribulation and became an imperial monarch, he died not long after because his origin was exhausted. Now you understand why I don't want you to protect him, right? Emperor Zhanfeng sighed softly and looked at Ling Xiao seriously. Emperor Zhanfeng is right. Ling Xiao, I won't force you. You don't have to think about anything because I helped you 200 years ago. Everything is up to you. Jiang Yuyang nodded, admitting it with incomparable calmness. Ancestor, I want to ask why those imperial monarch powerhouses wanted to kill Emperor Yuyang? Even if the devil race and the human race have enmity, the underworld race, dead spirit race, and ghost race shouldn't have too much enmity with the human race, right? Could it be because of the human emperor's great Tao that you mentioned? Ling Xiao looked at Emperor Zhanfeng and asked. You're right. The human emperor's great Tao is the Tao of providence of the human race. It's also the Tao of protection. He chose the human emperor's great Tao. Just like the 9 thearchs of the human race, he is the true emperor of the human race. He rules over billions of people, and is the only master of the human race. After he becomes an imperial monarch, as long as the human race is still the epic lord, he can rely on the human race's providence to advance by leaps and bounds. He can even become an emperor. This is a complete great emperor's origin. Once he obtains it, he can replace it. Which imperial monarch can resist this temptation? Emperor Zhanfeng said slowly. In that case, I'm afraid that it's not just the devil race and the other foreign races' imperial monarchs. Even many powerhouses of the human race don't want Emperor Yuyang to break through to the imperial monarch realm, right? Ling Zhao's eyes revealed a trace of understanding. He understood the meaning of Ancestor Zhanfeng's words. The current Emperor Yuyang was simply a ginseng fruit in everyone's eyes. All the imperial monarch powerhouses wanted to kill him, take his human emperor's great Tao, and even replace it. It turned out that it was because Jiang Yuyang's imperial monarch tribulation was too dangerous that Ancestor Zhanfeng rejected it. Ling Xiao, If it were anyone else undergoing the imperial monarch tribulation, I definitely wouldn't stop you from protecting them. However, Jiang Yuyang is undergoing the imperial monarch tribulation. When the time comes, there will probably be many imperial monarch powerhouses coming to kill him. With your current cultivation, it's too dangerous. You are the hope of my war god temple, and also the hope of the human race. I can't just watch you throw your life away. Emperor Zhanfeng said slowly. Chapter 2845. Brother Zhanfeng is right. Many people don't want me to break through to the Imperial Emperor realm. It's too much for you to protect me. It's fine if you don't agree. Jiang Yuyang said with a smile. Jin Sei and Shui Wei's eyes were filled with worry. They understood Ling Xiao's character. Ling Xiao was the kind of person who clearly distinguished between gratitude and grudges. Since Jiang Yuyang had spoken, how could he not agree? Although they were worried, they didn't say anything. Heavenly Venerable Yuyang, I would like to ask why you chose me to protect you. Ling Xiao looked at Jiang Yuyang and asked calmly. There's no harm in telling you. Yi Liangchen's master, the sloppy imperial emperor, was supposed to protect me. At the same time, Lord Kunwu was supposed to be there too. However, Lord Kunwu was delayed by something. He asked me to look for you. Jiang Yuyang said slowly. Lord Kunwu? Could it be the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain? Ling Zhao's heart skipped a beat, and his eyes lit up. That's right. He's the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain. Lord Kunwu is also the guardian of the human race. For so many years, if he didn't protect the human race wouldn't be so peaceful. Lord Kunwu also said that protecting me might be your opportunity. Jiang Yuyang said with a nod. Is it really the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain? Great. Heavenly Venerable Yuyang, I agree. When is your heavenly tribulation? I'll go and protect you. Ling Xiao was also a little excited. He immediately nodded and agreed. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain was half a master to Ling Xiao. Before Ling Xiao came to the Divine Realm, the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain had helped Ling Xiao a lot and saved Ling Xiao from danger many times. If it wasn't for the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain, Ling Xiao might not have been able to come to the Divine Realm. The white dragon horse was given to Ling Xiao by the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain. Ling Xiao was very grateful to the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain. Since the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain asked, Ling Xiao would naturally agree. Moreover, Jiang Yuyang had helped Ling Xiao 200 years ago. Naturally, he should protect Jiang Yuyang. After understanding the cause and effect and the dangers involved, Ling Xiao did not hesitate at all. Lord Kunwu? Heavenly Venerable Yuyang, where is Lord Kunwu? Why didn't he come to see me? When the white dragon horse heard the news about the Kunwu Mountain Emperor, it couldn't help but tremble. Its eyes were filled with excitement as it quickly asked Jiang Yuyang, Are you Xiaobai? Lord Kunwu has many important matters to attend to and is not in the Divine Realm right now. He had said that they would meet again if fate brought them together. Lord Kunwu wants you to follow Ling Xiao well. Don't be so naughty and be obedient. This is your chance and fortune. Do you understand? Jiang Yuyang looked at the white dragon horse and chuckled. I understand. The white dragon horse hung its head dejectedly. It was in low spirits. Before leaving the Kunwu Sacred Mountain with Ling Xiao, the white dragon horse had always followed the Emperor of the Kunwu Mountain. To the white dragon horse, the Emperor of the Kunwu Mountain was like a father and mother. Now that he heard the news of the Kunwu Mountain Imperial Emperor, he was both excited and sad. Mixed-haired horse, don't be sad. After we dig out the ancestral tombs of the Hua people and those immortal sacred grounds, our cultivation base will advance by leaps and bounds. By then, we might be able to meet Lord Kunwu. The old goat came up and hugged the white dragon horse's neck to comfort it. Get lost. I'm the Mount of the Chosen One. I'm the white dragon Imperial Emperor under Ling Xiao Great Emperor. How can I do such a sneaky thing? Don't think that I'll be your accomplice. The white dragon horse glared at the old goat and said righteously. However, it seemed to be in a better mood. Mixed-haired horse, I think you're itching for a beating again. How dare you talk to me like that? The old goat was furious. He did not expect the white dragon horse to be so shameless. However, the crowd ignored the two of them. Everyone knew what they were like. At this moment, They were looking at Ling Xiao with concern. After hearing Celestial Master Zhanfeng's words, they realized how dangerous it would be to protect Jiang Yuyang. Naturally, they did not want Ling Xiao to take the risk. Ling Xiao, it's too dangerous. Although Lord Kungwu said so, I think you should still consider it. Celestial Master Zhanfeng's eyes were filled with worry. He did not expect Ling Xiao to agree to it. After hearing Lord Kungwu's words, Celestial Master Zhanfeng was less worried. He respected Lord Kungwu very much. However, he was still worried about Ling Xiao's safety. Ancestor, rest assured. I'll be careful. Being able to protect Emperor Yuyang and contribute to our human race's pillar is also my honor. Ling Xiao said with a slight smile. Jiang Yuyang was also slightly stunned. He did not expect that Ling Xiao would actually agree. He gave Ling Xiao a deep look and said, "Since that's the case, then I'll have to trouble you. I still need a few months to prepare for my tribulation. When the time comes, I'll come to the War God Temple to inform you." Okay. Ling Xiao nodded and said, "Since that's the case, then I'll take my leave. Brother Zhanfeng, rest assured. I'll definitely bring Ling Xiao back safely." Jiang Yuyang clasped his hands at Celestial Master Zhanfeng and said solemnly, "I believe you. Old fellow, you should know that 90 million years ago, you lost your last chance to corroborate your Tao and become an emperor. You no longer have a chance in this epoch. But Ling Xiao is different. He still has limitless possibilities. Therefore, I request that you must protect him well." Celestial Master Zhanfeng's face revealed an incomparably solemn expression as he bowed deeply toward Jiang Yuyang. "I understand. Regardless of whether or not I can corroborate my Tao and become an emperor, I'll fight for the human race until the last moment. This is also my destiny, isn't it?" Jiang Yuyang nodded, revealing an incomparably carefree smile on his face. Then he turned around and took a step out, disappearing into the sky above the War God Temple. What a pity! Celestial Master Zhanfeng looked at Jiang Yuyang's disappearing back view, his eyes full of regret. 90 million years ago, the two peerless prides were born. Jiang Yuyang and Emperor Lord Great Void were side by side. The name of Heaven's pride shocked the myriad worlds. That was also the most glorious era of the human race after the human race's 9 emperors. The human race had great momentum of resurgence. But now, Emperor Lord Great Void had fallen. Jiang Yuyang lived to his 9th life, but lost the chance to corroborate his Tao and become an emperor. Unless the human race could become the next epoch lord, Jiang Yuyang would never be able to corroborate his Tao and become an emperor. As someone who had once witnessed all of this, Celestial Master Zhanfeng also felt a little sad in his heart. Ancestor, this isn't the best era, but it's also definitely not the worst era, isn't it? There's still hope for the human race. Ling Xiao said with a faint smile, his eyes bright and clear. That's right. The human race has you, Duga Qiubai, Yi Liangchen, Panga's heavenly dipper, and that unreliable son of the heavenly emperor, Zhao Ritian. With all of you around, there's naturally hope. Perhaps, it'll be far more glorious than 90 million years ago. I'm looking forward to it. Celestial Master Zhanfeng laughed after hearing Ling Xiao's words. He looked a little excited. Chapter 2846. Dugu Qiubai, Yi Liangchen, Panga Tiangang, Zhao Ritian and the other young people had shown great talent and potential. They might not lose to Emperor Taishu and Jiang Yuyang. It wouldn't be difficult for them to break through to Emperor Realm in the future. There was no need to even mention Ling Xiao. After today's battle, the name of Heaven's chosen child, Ling Xiao, would spread throughout the entire God Realm, and even the myriad of worlds, becoming the most dazzling existence. Even those emperors, old antiques, old monsters and even the great emperors who were in deep slumber would notice Ling Xiao. Celestial Master Zhanfeng was very sure that Ling Xiao would go further than Emperor Taishu and Jiang Yuyang. Ling Xiao might be the 10th great emperor of the human race. That night, almost everyone was drunk. In the quiet night, the bright moonlight shone down. The stars in the sky were dazzling. Starlight gathered and illuminated the War God Hall like a paradise. Ling Xiao felt an unprecedented peace in his heart. Changsheng fell asleep in his arms. Her long eyelashes fluttered. She looked like a porcelain doll. She was very delicate and made people want to protect her. In her sleep, Changxing still had a faint smile on her face. It was very pure. Jin Sei and Shui Wei sat beside Ling Xiao. The three of them sat silently. However, there was a kind of tacit understanding and warmth that made them feel an unprecedented sense of happiness. The old goat and the white dragon horse had their arms around each other's shoulders. They looked shifty. After a quarrel, they were as close as brothers again. Long Outyin sat beside Long Xiaoxiao obediently. He would secretly drink a cup of wine from time to time. His face was filled with pride. Daoist Wuliang sat upright. He had an extraordinary temperament and was extraordinarily handsome. On the other hand, Yi Qingcheng was smiling like a flower. His eyes were filled with radiance as he looked at Daoist Wuliang. Only Yi Liangchen looked very hurt. The person he loved the most was beside him. His best friend was sitting opposite him. Ling Xiao wished that this moment could last forever. Therefore Ling Xiao was drunk. He allowed the wine to numb him. He let himself get drunk like a mortal. He didn't manage to dissolve the wine in his body. In the end he fell asleep in Jin Sei's arms. The next day, when the first rays of the morning sun shone on everyone's body, the golden sunlight illuminated the sea of clouds, making it dazzling and beautiful to the extreme. Ling Xiao woke up. Two resplendent bolts of lightning shot out from his eyes, piercing through the void. They were bright and sharp, containing the power to see through people's hearts. Ling Xiao's entire body was filled with incomparably powerful energy fluctuations. His cultivation had improved by quite a bit. After devouring the primordial spirits and saint path origins of many celestial venerables, Ling Xiao's cultivation base began to improve by leaps and bounds, advancing towards the imperial emperor realm. Ling Xiao could feel the saintly Wei aura surging within his body. It was as if a chaotic world was beginning to nurture a powerful life force. It was about to open up a vast world at any time. Although it wasn't easy to break through to the imperial emperor realm, the battle still provided Ling Xiao with boundless energy and saintly Wei origin, making his aura several times stronger. He was no weaker than Celestial Master Zhanfeng now. Ling Xiao could already faintly sense the direction of that supreme deity realm. Darklight Heavenly Sect's Supreme Elder Zhao Rongda greets Lord Ling Xiao. At this moment, an old but loud voice sounded above the War God Hall. Crack. In the distance, the void shattered, and an old man in a black robe stepped out. His entire body exuded an incomparably powerful aura. After arriving at the territory of the War God Hall, he instantly stopped in his tracks and bowed respectfully. Have the people from the Darklight Heavenly Sect arrived? The people from the other immortal sacred grounds should be here soon, right? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with light. It seemed that the 3-day deadline he gave still made some people afraid and chose to compromise. Ling Xiao also wanted to know how sincere these immortal sacred grounds would be. Open the mountain gate and bring them to the heavenly palace of the war god. Ling Xiao said indifferently. Yes. Panga Tiangang and a few elders of the war god hall nodded in response. They all leaped up and flew out of the mountain gate. Hua Clan's Supreme Elder Hua Yunqing greets Lord Ling Xiao. Desolation Shrine's Supreme Elder Huang Wei greets Lord Ling Xiao. Destiny Shrine's Supreme Elder Zhao Kun and Moon Saint Lady greets Lord Ling Xiao. Heavenly Thunder Sect's Sect Master Yang Zifeng greets Lord Ling Xiao. Pill Seal Mountain's Supreme Elder Gu Zhanghuai greets Lord Ling Xiao. Voices resounded above the War God Temple. Many immortal sacred grounds and various large sects sent people to the War God Hall. Their attitudes were extremely respectful, and all of them revealed uneasy expressions in their eyes. Ling Xiao's name had shocked the entire God world after yesterday's battle. The War God Hall had buried 24 heavenly masters, and the reincarnation master. Even the emperor of the Chinese had been captured by Ling Xiao. Many people had spread the word that Ling Xiao had become a bloodthirsty butcher and a ruthless demon. This shocked and enraged the immortal sacred grounds, and they were filled with fear. Especially after Ling Xiao had released the news that if they didn't give an explanation within 3 days, they would come to the War God Hall to ask for Ling Xiao's forgiveness. After some hesitation and struggle, the immortal sacred grounds finally chose to come to the War God Hall in exchange for Ling Xiao's forgiveness. Soon hundreds of figures with powerful auras appeared outside the War God Hall's mountain gate. They all looked respectful and brought all kinds of rare treasures to the War God Hall to beg for forgiveness. Pengu Celestial Handle and many elders of the War God Hall welcomed them and brought them to the Heavenly Palace of the War God Hall. The Heavenly Palace of the War God Hall was located at the peak of Sky Mountain. It was the core of the War God Hall, and also the symbol of the War God. It was majestic and majestic. Today Lu Bai didn't appear. Ling Xiao had come to deal with the people from the immortal sacred grounds. Ling Xiao sat on the main seat in the sky above the Heavenly Palace of the War God Hall. His eyes were slightly closed and his fingers tapped rhythmically on the table. He exuded an unfathomable aura. Although Lu Bai and Celestial Master Zhangfeng weren't present, Taoist Wuliang, Old Goat, White Dragon Horse, Pengu Celestial Handle, and the others were all in the Heavenly Palace of the War God Hall. Behind Ling Xiao stood an Aishang, King Songbai, King Lu, and King Peony. They all looked cold, their eyes were like lightning, and their auras were extremely powerful. Many experts from the immortal sacred grounds entered the Heavenly Palace of the War God Hall obediently. When they saw such a big lineup, their expressions became even more respectful. However, these immortal sacred grounds and various sects seemed to be led by Hua Yincheng, the Grand Elder of the Chinese. Everyone's gaze fell on Hua Yincheng. "Greetings, Lord Ling Xiao." Hua Yincheng looked at Ling Xiao. Although he was furious, he didn't show it on his face. He bowed to Ling Xiao calmly. It was this young man who had humiliated the Chinese. Even the ancestor of the Chinese had been captured alive, causing the Chinese to have no choice but to bow their heads. Although Hua Yincheng hated Ling Xiao to the core, he knew that he had to bow his head when he was under someone else's roof. On the surface, he was extremely respectful. End of chapter. Chapter 2847. Ling Xiao sat on the seat of honor with his eyes closed and his fingers tapping on the table rhythmically. He didn't respond to Hua Yincheng at all, as if he didn't hear him at all. Everyone had a strange look on their faces. Is Ling Xiao trying to intimidate us? Hua Yincheng's eyes flashed with anger, but he suppressed it and said, "I'm Hua Yincheng of the Hua clan. Greetings, Lord Ling Xiao." In terms of age, Hua Yincheng was in the same era as the Scarlet Dragon War God. He felt humiliated and angry that he had to lower his head in front of a junior like Ling Xiao. "Hua clan? How do you want to resolve the enmity between us?" After a while, Ling Xiao slowly opened his eyes and glanced at Hua Yincheng indifferently. He ignored Hua Yincheng just now because he had been investigating the Hua race Imperial Emperor. The Hua race Imperial Emperor's cultivation had been sealed. Now he was being suppressed in the Heaven's Might prison steel and was cursing endlessly. Ling Xiao guessed that the Hua clan was here for the Hua clan emperor. However, the emperor of Hua people looked full of hatred towards Ling Xiao. Therefore, Ling Xiao didn't want to say anything. The Hua clan emperor must die. "Lord Ling Xiao, we were wrong in the past. We shouldn't have targeted you and the War God Temple. Now we're willing to offer you 10 billion origin pills, a Supreme Emperor skill, and 3 Emperor-to-be weapons. Please forgive us and let our ancestor go." Hua Yincheng said respectfully. No matter how much he hated Ling Xiao, the Hua clan emperor was in Ling Xiao's hands, so he had to be respectful enough to ask for Ling Xiao's forgiveness and release the Hua clan emperor. Bringing back the Hua clan emperor was Hua Yincheng's biggest mission this time. "Not enough," Ling Xiao said indifferently. "Lord Ling Xiao, if you think it's not enough, you can state your conditions. We'll try our best to satisfy you." Hua Yincheng said respectfully as usual. "Very well. Since you're so sincere, I'll say it. I want to borrow the flawless heavenly capital scripture of the Chinese to take a look. In addition, the Chinese must compensate the War God Temple with 100 billion origin pills and kill all the clansmen who have targeted me and the War God Temple before sending their corpses to the War God Temple." Ling Xiao said calmly. "What? This is impossible." Hua Yincheng's expression suddenly changed, his eyes filled with anger. He had long expected that Ling Xiao would demand an exorbitant price, but he had never imagined that Ling Xiao's appetite would be so great. Heavenly Capital Sutra was the root of Hua people. It was the supreme sutra left by Heavenly Capital Emperor, who was one of the 9 emperors of human beings. Heavenly Capital Sutra was also one of the supreme sutras most suitable for human beings to cultivate. Because of Heavenly Capital Sutra, Hua people could always be prosperous. Ling Xiao actually wanted to look at the complete Heavenly Capital scripture. To the Chinese, this was something that was absolutely intolerable. As for 100 billion origin pills, although it was a large number, the Chinese could still afford it. Killing all the clansmen who targeted Ling Xiao and the War God Temple, and sending their corpses to the War God Temple, was an extremely excessive condition. If the Chinese really killed those clansmen, it would definitely cause dissension among the Chinese. It would be a great humiliation to the Chinese. In this case, apart from the 100 billion origin pills, Ling Xiao's other 3 conditions were impossible to agree to. The other envoys of the immortal Saint Lands also changed their expressions. Previously, they acted as if they were watching a joke and did not care about the matter. They just wanted to see the confrontation between the Chinese and Ling Xiao. However, Ling Xiao's exorbitant demand meant that today's matter would not be settled peacefully. Ling Xiao probably would not let the Chinese off so easily after treating them like this. Lord Ling Xiao, these 3 conditions are too much. 100 billion origin pills. I can make the decision and agree to it. However, the Chinese can't agree to the other 2 conditions. Hua Yuncheng said with an ugly expression. These 3 conditions can't be less than 1. If you agree, I can let bygones be bygones on account of Emperor Tiandu's many contributions to the human race. However, if you don't agree, I can only go and take it from you personally. However, by then, it won't be so simple. Ling Xiao said indifferently, his expression still calm. Ling Xiao, don't go too far. The Chinese are the descendants of Emperor Tiandu. We are not people who can be trampled on. Although you shocked the entire God realm in yesterday's battle, if the Chinese fight to the death, we will only end up in a life and death struggle. Do you really want to destroy the pillar of the human race, and let the demon race laugh at us? Hua Yuncheng stared at Ling Xiao with eyes full of anger. Going too far? What a joke. 200 years ago, when you led the Chinese to set up a trap to kill me in the Ling Xiao mountain range, why didn't you say that you were going too far? In these 200 years, when you killed the disciples of the War God Temple, and wanted to destroy the War God Temple, why didn't you say that you were going too far? Now you know that the human race should not have internal strife? Do you have any shame? When you are strong, you can bully the weak. When you are weaker, you start to reason with others. It seems that no matter what, you are on the right side. I don't want to waste my time talking to you. You can say that I am going too far, or that I am overbearing. If you agree to the 3 conditions today, the Emperor of the Chinese will not release you, but I will no longer target the Chinese. If you don't agree, you can get lost. Ling Xiao stood up from the seat of honor, and walked towards Hua Yuncheng step by step with a majestic aura. His eyes were like lightning, and his voice was like thunder that exploded in the heavenly palace of the war god. Hua Yuncheng's expression changed. He felt as if there was a tsunami of power pressing down on him, causing him to tremble all over. His face was incomparably pale, and he couldn't help but have the urge to kneel before Ling Xiao. In his eyes, Ling Xiao seemed to have become an ancient divine mountain. That vast and majestic aura made him feel small and insignificant. His back was drenched in sweat. As for Ling Xiao's words, the domineering and overbearing aura revealed within them caused him to be shocked, furious, and incomparably terrified. What Ling Xiao meant was that not only did the Hua people have to satisfy his 3 conditions, but he also had to kill the Hua emperor, so that the enmity between them could be written off. This was simply going too far. Ling Xiao, the Chinese will never agree to that. If you don't agree to let go of our imperial emperor, you'll have to wait for the revenge of our Hua people, the revenge of our Hua people. Hua Yuncheng's eyes were full of anger and killing intent. He knew that the negotiation had failed. At the same time, he still had the pride and arrogance of the Chinese in his heart. He did not personally experience the battle yesterday, so in his eyes, even though Ling Xiao was strong, if the Chinese came out in full force, it would only end in a lose-lose situation. He was betting that Ling Xiao was just bluffing and did not dare to confront the Chinese directly. Very good. Ling Xiao smiled. However, his smile looked a little cold. which made the temperature of the heavenly palace of the war god drop a lot in an instant. P.S. Sorry, I drank too much because I had a social engagement yesterday. Making up for yesterday's fourth update, today's update was still at night. End of this chapter. Chapter 2848. Ling Xiao didn't expect that the Chinese would still be so disgusting at this point. Fight to the death. Then let's fight to the death. You can get lost now. I'll go to the Chinese in 3 days. I hope you'll still have the courage to say that. Ling Xiao glanced at Hua Yincheng indifferently. The negotiation had failed. Hua Yincheng's face was also very ugly. In fact, after he said those words, he regretted it a bit. However, he felt that Ling Xiao was asking for too much and purposely finding trouble with the Chinese. He had no intention of reconciling, so he didn't intend to explain. The most regrettable thing was that he couldn't save the Chinese emperor. That was the ancestor of the Chinese. He was extremely powerful and was the pillar of the Chinese. Now that he was in Ling Xiao's hands and his life was in danger, it was an unbearable loss for the Chinese. However, Ling Xiao didn't seem to have any intention of letting the Chinese emperor go. Since that's the case, we Chinese will be waiting for your arrival. Goodbye. Hua Yinqing cupped his hands at Ling Xiao and said coldly. He then turned around and left the heavenly palace of the god of war. Everyone in the heavenly palace of the god of war looked at each other. They didn't expect the negotiation between the Chinese and Ling Xiao to fail just like that. Was Ling Xiao really going to kill the Chinese in 3 days? Something big was going to happen. Do you want to be like the Chinese? Ling Xiao glanced at the people of the darkness heavenly sect and the shrine of Nirvana calmly. They couldn't help but tremble. Lord Ling Xiao, the darkness heavenly sect is willing to accept your conditions. We'll let you take a look at the immeasurable darkness scripture and provide you with 100 billion origin pills. In addition, all the disciples and elders of the darkness heavenly sect who have targeted you and the shrine of war will be sent to the shrine of war for you to punish. Zhao Rongda, the supreme elder of the darkness heavenly sect, stood up and walked to Ling Xiao. He then bowed respectfully. Everyone was stunned. The darkness heavenly sect actually agreed to Ling Xiao's conditions? At the same time, the great elder of the Nirvana shrine, Huang Wei, also stood up and bowed towards Ling Xiao. Lord Ling Xiao, the Nirvana shrine is willing to provide you with the Nirvana scripture and 100 billion origin pills to kill all the disciples and elders who have targeted you and the war god shrine. Huang Wei's voice resounded throughout the heavenly palace. Don't you think my conditions are too much? Ling Xiao looked at Zhao Rongda and Huang Wei and said indifferently. He hadn't thought that the Dark Light Heavenly Sect and the Nirvana Shrine would actually give in. Hua Yincheng's attitude just now made Ling Xiao feel that his methods were a little soft. Some people wouldn't give up until they reached the Yellow River. They didn't think that he would really come knocking on their door to denounce them. The Darkness Heavenly Sect and the Nirvana Temple had always acted as the fighters of the Chinese. They might have been coveting Ling Xiao's wordless heavenly book and the fate of heaven. That was why they had been going against Ling Xiao several times. However, Ling Xiao was still rather surprised that they had submitted so decisively. Lord Ling Xiao, our Darkness Heavenly Sect has offended you. This is the punishment we deserve. We still have to thank you for your magnanimity. Zhao Rongda said calmly. Whether it was because they knew what was good for them, or because they were afraid, Dark Light Heavenly Sect really didn't want to be enemies with Ling Xiao anymore. In this battle, the Darkness Heavenly Sect's sacred master and 2 heavenly venerate elders had died in battle. In addition, there were hundreds of sacred rulers and thousands of saints. The Darkness Heavenly Sect had lost more than half of its resources. They had all seen the terrifying potential in Ling Xiao. It was a power that could destroy the entire Darkness Heavenly Sect. Therefore, no matter how unreasonable Ling Xiao's conditions were, they could only agree. Lord Ling Xiao, the Nirvana Shrine will do the same. This is the punishment we deserve. We should bear the responsibility and consequences for our mistakes. The Nirvana Shrine will follow your lead in the future. We will never be disloyal. Huang Wei said hurriedly. His eyes were filled with respect. He had even chosen to side with Ling Xiao. Everyone looked at Zhao Rongda and Huang Wei with strange looks in their eyes. Their attitudes were the complete opposite of Hua Yuncheng's. Whether they were afraid of Ling Xiao or couldn't bear the pressure, they had chosen to apologize and submit. They had chosen to resolve their grudges with Ling Xiao. Very well. In that case, I won't waste my breath. Fulfill the 3 conditions you promised within 3 days. From then on, the grudges between us will be written off. Ling Xiao nodded and said, the Darkness Heavenly Sect and the Nirvana Shrine's understanding of the situation had saved him a lot of trouble. Thank you, Lord Ling Xiao. We will take our leave. Zhao Rongda and Huang Wei bowed to Ling Xiao before turning to leave the Heavenly Palace. Lord Ling Xiao, the Heavenly Thunder Sect is willing to offer 50 kilograms of Heavenly Thunder Sacred Spring Water, 3 billion origin pills, and a Boundary Emperor weapon. Please forgive us. Lord Ling Xiao, we, the Pill Talisman Mountain, are willing to offer you the Pill Talisman Scripture, 30 billion origin pills, 3 Boundary Emperor weapons, and 3 Boundary Emperor talismans. Please forgive us. Lord Ling Xiao, the Sky Tyrant Divine Kingdom is willing to offer you a Supreme Emperor skill and 10 billion origin pills. Seeing that Zhao Rongda and Huang Wei had both chosen to beg for forgiveness, the remaining envoys from the various sects, clans, and divine kingdoms all scrambled to bow to Ling Xiao. They offered up treasures and begged for his forgiveness. Ling Xiao did not even care about the immortal sanctuary, let alone the sects and clans that were far inferior to the sanctuary. Their eyes were filled with fear. They had put in a lot of effort to come to the War God Shrine. They did not know if Ling Xiao would accept their apology. Your attitude is not bad. However, there is one thing I hope you remember. If you send the bodies of those who have killed the disciples and elders of the War God Shrine to the War God Shrine within 3 days, I can let bygones be bygones. Otherwise, you will have to deal with the consequences. Ling Xiao said nonchalantly. These sects, clans, and divine kingdoms were all supporters of the 8 superpowers, or some people who wanted to fish in troubled waters and take advantage of the War God Temple's crisis to take advantage of it. Ling Xiao did not have time to deal with them before they all came to apologize. They were completely terrified. During the battle at the War God Temple, Ling Xiao had gathered 36 heavenly venerables and an army of more than 100,000 saints. Many experts from the 8 superpowers had been wiped out. When news of that battle spread, they were almost scared to death. Many sects and clans' strongest experts might not have reached the King Sage realm. However, in the battle yesterday, dozens of heavenly masters and even emperors had fallen. They did not have the slightest intention of going against Ling Xiao. They only hoped that Ling Xiao would let bygones be bygones. Chapter 2849. Now that they saw Ling Xiao's attitude, they felt as if they had been pardoned. Their eyes were filled with respect and excitement as they bowed to Ling Xiao. Thank you, Lord Ling Xiao. Thank you, Lord Ling Xiao. After they bowed to Ling Xiao respectfully, they swore that they would fulfill the conditions and send all kinds of treasures to the War God Shrine. Then, they carefully left the Heavenly Palace as if they had been pardoned. In the end, only the Supreme Elder of the Shrine of Destiny, Zhao Kun, and the Moon Goddess were left in the Heavenly Palace. Moon Goddess, long time no see. Ling Xiao glanced at Zhao Kun and the Moon Goddess. His gaze lingered on the Moon Goddess for a moment as he spoke emotionally. It's been more than 200 years. I didn't expect you to have grown to such a level in just 200 years. You're a peerless figure who can make the immortal sacred grounds in the divine world bow down to you. The Moon God had a complicated look in her eyes as she spoke softly. You're not bad yourself. I didn't expect you to come to the divine world and become the saintess of the Shrine of Destiny. Are you here to plead for the Shrine of Destiny? Ling Xiao smiled faintly. His eyes were extremely calm, but there was a bright gleam in them. He could tell the Moon Goddess' intention at a glance. Ling Xiao, the Shrine of Destiny didn't besiege the War God Shrine with the Chinese this time, so I hope you can make peace with the Shrine of Destiny and resolve your grudge. The Moon Goddess looked at Ling Xiao and said sincerely, Moon Goddess, you should know. 200 years ago, I left the chaotic ancient land and appeared in the Lingxiao mountain range. The Shrine of Destiny must have leaked the news, right? I'm really impressed by the Shrine of Destiny's way of destiny. They could locate my location so easily. No wonder the Shrine of Destiny is only second to the chaotic heaven sect. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. The Shrine of Destiny didn't besiege the war god shrine this time. However, 200 years ago, the Shrine of Destiny had predicted that Ling Xiao would return to the divine world through the Ling Xiao mountain range. Therefore, the Chinese and the others were able to set up a trap to kill Ling Xiao. It could be said that the Fortune Shrine's actions had led to Ling Xiao's death, not to mention the battle at the Ling Xiao mountain range. A supreme elder of the Fortune Shrine had even tried to kill Ling Xiao with a great imperial weapon, the Wheel of Fortune. They were also life and death enemies. Ling Xiao didn't think that the Temple of Destiny would come to him before he even went to them. They seemed to know about the relationship between Ling Xiao and the Moon God, and they had sent the Moon God to persuade him. Ling Xiao, 200 years ago, the Shrine of Destiny did predict your whereabouts, but that was because the Shrine of Destiny wanted to return the favor to the Chinese. We didn't do it on purpose. As the saying goes, it's better to squash enmity than keep it alive. Why don't we settle our grudges today? Zhao Kun looked at Ling Xiao and said indifferently. She was a middle-aged woman in palace robes. She seemed very ordinary, but she was a celestial exalt. However, she radiated with a lofty presence. She stared straight at Ling Xiao with some arrogance. It was as though reconciling with Ling Xiao was giving him a lot of face. Ling Xiao frowned, and a trace of anger appeared in his heart. However, when he saw the Moon God's bright and sincere eyes, he couldn't help but soften his heart. Ling Xiao took a deep breath, looked at the Moon God and said seriously, "Moon God, did you choose to represent the Shrine of Destiny to negotiate with me today?" After hearing Ling Xiao's words, the Moon God's heart trembled. She understood what Ling Xiao meant. If she chose to represent the Shrine of Destiny, then she and Ling Xiao would be strangers in the future. Ling Xiao was asking her if she was willing to come back. Would it still be like before? Perhaps they couldn't go back. The Moon God suppressed the emotions in her heart and pleaded with Ling Xiao. "Ling Xiao, the Shrine of Destiny is my sect, and they are very loyal to me. I don't want to see you and the Shrine of Destiny become enemies, so I beg you to resolve the grudges between you and the Shrine of Destiny. Is that okay?" Zhao Kun's expression was ugly. She didn't think that Ling Xiao would ignore her and look at the Moon God. She couldn't help but reveal a trace of resentment in her eyes. Ling Xiao ignored her and looked deeply at the Moon God. "Okay, Moon God, for your sake, I agree to resolve the grudges between me and the Shrine of Destiny, but I have a request." "Tell me I agree." The Moon God's eyes revealed a trace of joy, and she quickly said, "Ahem." Zhao Kun coughed heavily, as if she was blaming the Moon God for agreeing to Ling Xiao's request so quickly. "I don't need the Shrine of Destiny to compensate me. I just want the Shrine of Destiny to hand over All-Seer, who attacked me 200 years ago, to me." Ling Xiao said calmly. Although All-Seer was killed 200 years ago in the Zhou Tian star formation, his primordial spirit was taken away by the Wheel of Destiny and escaped to the Shrine of Destiny. All-Seer must still be in the Shrine of Destiny. Impossible. The Shrine of Destiny can't hand over anyone. Ling Xiao, if you want compensation, the Shrine of Destiny can give you 10 billion origin pills, but we can't hand over All-Seer to you. Zhao Kun's eyes flashed, and she rejected without thinking. Impossible? All-Seer used the Wheel of Destiny to kill me 200 years ago, and he's also a demon. Is the Shrine of Destiny really going to protect him? Do you really think I'm afraid of the Shrine of Destiny? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed coldly. His conditions were already very low. This was all because of the Moon God, so he only wanted the Shrine of Destiny to hand over All-Seer. Otherwise, Ling Xiao wouldn't have let the Shrine of Destiny off so easily. Ling Xiao, All-Seer tried to kill you, so he should be handed over to you. Don't worry, I'll go back to the sect and tell the Shrine Master to hand All-Seer over to you. The Moon God said seriously. Okay, as long as All-Seer is handed over to me, the grudges between me and the Shrine of Destiny will be written off. Moon God, I hope you're doing well. Ling Xiao nodded faintly. There was a complicated look in his eyes. The Moon God now was a little strange, and Ling Xiao almost couldn't recognize her. Could there really be such a big change in 200 years? Ling Xiao, I'm leaving. The Chinese have a strong foundation, and I don't want you to rashly go to the Chinese. You must be careful. The moon god looked at Ling Xiao in a daze, then turned and left the heavenly palace. Humph. Zhao Kun's face was a little ugly, but she didn't say anything in the end. She left with a gloomy face. Chapter 2850. Ling Xiao, why did you let the Destiny Shrine off? I think the Destiny Shrine is as despicable as the Chinese. These bastards are like rats hiding in the dark. They only know how to hurt people. The white dragon horse said angrily. It did not like Zhao Kun. If it was not for the moon god, it would have stomped on Zhao Kun's face. The Destiny Shrine is indeed despicable. However, the moon god is the saintess of the Destiny Shrine after all. Consider it as giving her face. As long as the Destiny Shrine does not provoke me in the future, I will not bother with them. If there is a next time, don't blame me for being impolite. Ling Xiao sighed softly. Ling Xiao, don't make it sound so nice. I think you are just worried about your old lover. Aren't you afraid that Jin Se and Shui Wei will settle the score with you? Ah. The white dragon horse sneered and could not help but say something. However, before it could finish its sentence, it let out a pitiful cry and was sent flying by Ling Xiao's kick. Everyone thought that it deserved it. The white dragon horse was an old ruffian, a scoundrel who took advantage of the situation. Everyone had wanted to beat it up for a long time. Ling Xiao, it seems like the Samsara Temple, 9 Imperial Gates, Heavenly Curse Sect, Space-Time Heavenly Gate, and 5 Elements Celestial Sect haven't arrived yet. I'm afraid they've made the same choice as the Chinese. Pangu Celestial Handle said to Ling Xiao. Forget about the Samsara Temple. For Shui Wei's sake, I will not pursue the matter further. However, I think the 9 Imperial Gates, Heavenly Curse Sect, Space-Time Heavenly Sect, and 5 Elements Celestial Sect are just like the Chinese. They are tired of living. Ling Xiao sneered with a trace of cold killing intent in his eyes. Are you really going to punish them? Pangu Celestial Handle asked. 3 days. If they do not come to apologize within 3 days, we will have no choice but to punish them. Let's wait for another 2 days. Ling Xiao said calmly with a trace of darkness in his eyes. Over the next 2 days, the Darkness Heavenly Sect and the Nirvana Temple delivered copies of the Immeasurable Light and Darkness Scripture, and the Nirvana Scripture, which contain the true meaning of the Imperial Scriptures, as well as 100 billion origin pills, and those who had attacked Ling Xiao and the War God Temple. However, when those people were sent over, they were already corpses. As for the Heavenly Thunder Sect, Pill Seal Mountain, and other sects, clans, and divine kingdoms, they also sent various rare treasures, even more than what they had promised. This time, in order to seek Ling Xiao's forgiveness, they had paid a huge price. When had the War God Temple ever seen so many treasures? The War God Temple had been in a miserable state for the past few years. They were extremely poor, and they were about to fall out of the ranks of the 12 immortal holy lands. The disciples of the sect were already struggling to make ends meet, let alone treasures like the Pill River. Lu Bai and Celestial Master Zhanfeng were extremely excited when they saw the treasures sent by the immortal sacred grounds and powerful sections. With so many resources, the cultivation of the War God Temple's elders and disciples would definitely improve by leaps and bounds. On the 3rd day, an uninvited guest appeared in the War God Temple. At the peak of War Mountain, a sea of clouds floated in the air. An old man with white hair and a beard walked over. His robes fluttered in the wind, and he looked like an immortal. He had an aloof and otherworldly temperament. His entire body exuded a pure and natural aura, as if he had become one with the surrounding heaven and earth. In particular, his eyes were deep and bright, as if the sun and moon were rotating, and the strange scene of the reincarnation of all living things appeared in his eyes. Someone from the Samsara Temple? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as his gaze fell on the old man. He felt the same aura from the old man as the Samsara Master. Moreover, the old man's cultivation was far superior to the Samsara Master's. The Samsara Temple had 2 imperial emperors? Ling Xiao was secretly on guard, but he did not show it on his face. He asked indifferently, "Who are you?" "Ling Xiao, my young friend, I am Shui Wei's master. If you don't believe me, You can call Shuewei out and ask her. The white-haired old man said with a smile. His smile was gentle and he looked very amiable. Shuewei's master? Ling Xiao was slightly stunned. Master. You're really back? At this moment, Shuewei sensed the old man's aura and immediately rushed out. When she saw the Samsara ancestor, her eyes were filled with incomparable joy. The Samsara ancestor, the most powerful person in the Samsara temple, was also Shuewei's master. No one knew how old the Samsara ancestor was. When the Samsara master was very young, the Samsara ancestor had already been the Samsara ancestor. This was why Shuewei had such a high status in the Samsara temple. Shuewei, my little girl, I've let you suffer during my absence in the divine world for 200 years. The Samsara ancestor looked at Shuewei and sighed softly. His eyes were filled with tenderness. Master, it's not hard for me to see you. Could it be that you came here today because of the palace master? Master, this is all the temple master's fault. He was the one who wanted to kill the young master. Please don't blame him. Shuewei looked at the Samsara ancestor with some concern. On one side was her beloved young master, and on the other was her most respected master. Shuewei did not want the two of them to become enemies. I know the cause and effect of this matter. Qin Wuji and Qin Miesheng plotted against you and became enemies with the heaven's chosen child. This is their destiny. Even I can't stop it. I'm here today to ask you to go back and become the Samsara master. The Samsara ancestor sighed softly. Samsara master? Master, I can't do it. My cultivation is too weak. Master, you're more suitable to be the Samsara master. Moreover, I want to be with the young master. Shuewei was a little surprised. She blushed and said shyly. Ling Xiao was also taken aback. The Samsara ancestor's cultivation was unfathomable. Ling Xiao felt that perhaps even the ancestors of the four sacred clans could not compare to the Samsara ancestor. If the Samsara ancestor attacked, Ling Xiao would not be able to kill Qin Wuji. However, the Samsara ancestor seemed to know everything. He did not stop Qin Wuji or attack Ling Xiao. Now the Samsara ancestor wanted Shuewei to be the Samsara master. Ling Xiao could not understand the Samsara ancestor's intention. Shuewei, the Samsara temple is now without a leader. You have the Samsara sacred being, and are the most suitable candidate. As for me, I can't stay in the divine world for too long. The Great Tribulation is coming. Lord Kunwu and I have many things to do. We have to plan for the future of the human tribe. You and Ling Xiao are not ordinary people. You have your own responsibilities and missions. If you can survive this Great Tribulation, you will be able to live together in the future. But if you can't, everything will be over. I hope you can become the Samsara master, but I won't force you. I hope you can consider it carefully. The Samsara ancestor looked at Ling Xiao and Shuewei seriously. His voice was full of vicissitudes and contained the fluctuations of endless time. End of chapter. Chapter 2851. Shuewei's eyes revealed a hint of struggle. She was extremely disappointed with the Samsara temple. Qin Wuji wanted her to marry Qin Miesheng with ill intentions. He wanted Qin Miesheng to devour the Samsara origin in Shuewei's body, so that he could break through to the Supreme Emperor realm. Moreover, Ling Xiao had finally expressed his feelings for her. She and Ling Xiao had gone through a lot together. Shuewei did not want to leave Ling Xiao. She only wanted to be with him. Shuewei, no matter what choice you make, I will support you. I will always be by your side. Ling Xiao looked at Shuewei and said seriously. Reincarnation ancestor looked at Shuewei calmly and waited for her reply. After a moment of silence, Shuewei said slowly, All right, Master, I promise you that I will become the Samsara master. Shuewei, you don't have to force yourself. Reincarnation ancestor said with a sigh. I am not forcing myself. Master, you are right. I have my own responsibilities. I cannot be too selfish. I am indebted to the Samsara temple. Now that the Samsara temple has no leader, I should return to take charge. Moreover, if I become the Samsara master, I will be able to mobilize more resources. My cultivation will be able to break through faster. I do not want to be a burden to young master. I want to help him. He is under too much pressure. I hope that I can follow in his footsteps in the future, Shuiwei said seriously. Although she was struggling in her heart, she made her choice in the end. A large part of her life was for Ling Xiao. She was willing to do anything for Ling Xiao. She felt that if she was in charge of the Samsara Temple, it would become Ling Xiao's most solid backing. Moreover, if she could quickly make a breakthrough in her cultivation, and even become an imperial emperor, she would be able to help Ling Xiao even more. Although Shuiwei wanted to stay by Ling Xiao's side, she knew that she could not do that. She had to work harder. Reincarnation ancestor was right. The Great Tribulation was coming and no one could stay out of it. She could only try her best to become stronger and protect the people she cared about. Shuiwei, have you thought it through? Ling Xiao took a deep breath and said. His eyes were filled with gratitude. How could he not understand Shuiwei's thoughts? This silly girl, no matter what, the first thing in her heart would always be her young master. Young master, don't worry. I've made up my mind. I've decided to become the master of Samsara. From now on, the Samsara Temple will be the most reliable ally of the War God Temple, Shuiwei said with a smile. All right. Since that's the case, I'll respect your decision. Ling Xiao nodded as a warm feeling welled up in his heart. Thank you, Ling Xiao. I apologize on behalf of the Samsara Temple for offending you in the past. I can also lend you the Reincarnation Sutra, Reincarnation Patriarch said. In that case, thank you very much. Ling Xiao nodded and did not reject Reincarnation Patriarch's offer. The reason why Reincarnation Patriarch lent Ling Xiao the complete Reincarnation Sutra was not only to apologize to Ling Xiao, but more importantly, he wanted to form a good relationship with Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao walked the path of integrating all skills and nurturing 100 scriptures. It was a great opportunity for him to be able to comprehend the complete Reincarnation Sutra. It was a great accumulation of experience and knowledge that would allow him to go further in the future. Ling Xiao, are you sure you want to go to the immortal sacred grounds like the Chinese and the 9 imperial gates to denounce them? They have a strong foundation and are protected by a complete imperial formation. If you want to force your way in, you'll suffer heavy casualties. I hope you can think about it carefully, Reincarnation Patriarch said slowly. Thank you for your reminder. Whether it's the Chinese or the 9 imperial gates, they've tried to kill me time and time again. We're already at odds with each other. Since they've chosen to put up a resistance, they can't blame me for annihilating their sects and clans. So what if they have a complete imperial formation? I'd like to see it for myself, Ling Xiao said with a faint smile and a sharp glint in his eyes. In that case, you'd better be careful, Reincarnation Patriarch said with a nod. Seeing Ling Xiao's determined attitude, he did not continue to persuade him. Although the Chinese, the 9 imperial gates, the space-time heavenly sect, the heavenly curse sect, and the 5 elements celestial sect had suffered heavy casualties, they had no intention of reconciling with Ling Xiao. Although Reincarnation Patriarch did not want a war to break out, he could not stop it. Everything would depend on one's own luck. Reincarnation Patriarch left. He still had some matters to attend to. After that, he promised Shuiwei that he would bring her back to the Samsara Temple in a few days and become the Samsara Master. Naturally, Shuiwei could not leave Ling Xiao at this time. She still had to follow Ling Xiao to the ancestral lands of the Chinese and the other immortal sacred grounds to denounce them. 3 days passed quickly. In these 3 days, other than the powerful sacred grounds, sects, and families such as the Annihilation Temple and the Darkness Heavenly Sect who came to the War God Temple to apologize to Ling Xiao and offer precious treasures, the Chinese and the other immortal sacred grounds chose to remain silent. This was especially so for the Chinese. After hearing Ling Xiao's 3 conditions, they were furious. They immediately summoned all the experts of the Chinese and prepared to fight Ling Xiao to the death in their ancestral lands. The experts of the 9 imperial gates and the other immortal sacred grounds began to spread rumors in the divine world. They said that Ling Xiao was a spy of the demon race and that he was colluding with the monster race. He was leading the experts of the monster race to destroy the powerful forces of the divine world and achieve his goal of unifying the divine world. The 9 imperial gates and the other immortal sacred grounds even declared that they would not give in, and would fight Ling Xiao to the death. It seems like they don't know what's good for them. In the War God Temple, Ling Xiao stood at the top of the sea of clouds. He was surrounded by dazzling rays of light, and his eyes were filled with cold killing intent. 3 days had passed. Since they had chosen to resist to the end, Ling Xiao had no choice but to denounce them. Rumble. In the sky above the War God Temple, in front of Ling Xiao, figures with terrifying auras floated in the void. They were silent like an army and exuded a terrifying aura. Vast Saint Dao auras intertwined in thousands of rays of divine light shot out. Many experts looked indifferent and murderous. They all looked at Ling Xiao with eyes full of fanaticism and worship. In the lead were 30 figures with terrifying auras like the sun. They were 30 heavenly venerables. 30 heavenly venerables over 1,000 saint kings, and an army of 100,000 saints. This was all the forces that Ling Xiao had mobilized this time. Since the Chinese and the various immortal sacred grounds had made their choice, Ling Xiao would not show any mercy. He wanted to use this battle to tell the entire divine world his attitude. Those who offend me will be killed without mercy. Those who offend my War God Temple will be exterminated. End of chapter. Chapter 2852. Rumble. Many of Ling Xiao's subordinates gathered in the sky above the War God Shrine. The 30 heavenly venerables were as dazzling as the sun, emitting a dazzling radiance. Vast saintly wave pressure rose, surging endlessly like an ocean, causing the War God Temple to be enveloped in brilliant light. Ling Xiao is really going to punish us? Someone exclaimed, and his voice began to tremble. There were many spies from the immortal sacred grounds around the War God Shrine, as well as many experts who were watching the show. They were all watching the War God Shrine's every move, wanting to see what Ling Xiao would do. However, they didn't expect that Ling Xiao would actually choose to gather his army 3 days later, and come knocking on their door to denounce them. 30 heavenly venerables and an army of 100,000 sages. This terrifying force was far more powerful than any immortal sacred ground, causing everyone to be amazed. Ling Xiao had announced his choice to the entire divine world in an incomparably domineering manner. Ling Xiao has many experts under his command, enough to crush any immortal sacred ground. However, the immortal sacred grounds have hundreds of millions of years of history. Perhaps their experts are not as strong as Ling Xiao's subordinates, but they have the Supreme Emperor formation to protect their sect, the Supreme Emperor weapon to suppress their destiny, and all sorts of powerful trump cards. Someone analyzed objectively. That's right. Even if Ling Xiao can destroy an immortal sacred ground, I'm afraid the experts under his command will suffer heavy losses. If he is forced into a corner, the immortal sacred grounds might be able to turn the tables. He's still too arrogant. As far as I know, the 9 imperial gates inherited the ancient heavenly court, and has a puppet army of heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals. All of them are Sage Realm experts, and their strength is unparalleled. There's also the Heavenly Curse Sect. The Heavenly Curse Sect's supreme Tao of curses can kill people without leaving a trace. The area within 100,000 miles of the Heavenly Curse Sect's mountain gate is a cursed area that even Sage Kings can't cross. The 5 Elements ultimate formation of the 5 Elements Heaven Sect is also incomparably terrifying. It's said that it once killed an Emperor Realm expert 1,000,000 years ago. There's also the Chinese. The 12 Divine Fiends formation in the ancestral land of the Chinese was personally set up by Emperor Tiandu. It contains the supreme power of Emperor Tiandu. If Ling Xiao really dares to attack the Chinese, he will definitely kick an iron plate. Everyone discussed animatedly. They were guessing the outcome of Ling Xiao's visit. At the same time, some people felt that Ling Xiao was too vengeful. In the face of the great enemy of the demon race, Ling Xiao actually chose to have internal strife, wanting to destroy the pillar of the human race. Some of the more radical human powerhouses even began to curse Ling Xiao, saying that he was the real demon race spy. Ling Xiao, you don't care about the overall situation of the human race. You only care about your own interests. How can you be considered the chosen one? The chosen one? He has already become the lord of myriad demons in the demon realm, the master of the chaos wilderness. When has he ever cared about us humans? It's really hateful to let such a despicable person wield such great power. If I had such an expert under my command, I would definitely kill my way into the devil world and slaughter all the devil race experts. Those people were all filled with righteous indignation. Their eyes were cold, as if Ling Xiao had become an unpardonable villain, a scum of the human race who didn't care about the big picture. The enmity between Ling Xiao and those immortal Holy Lands has long been irreconcilable. On the other hand, those immortal Holy Lands had no intention of repenting at all. If I were Ling Xiao, I would slaughter all of them to prevent future troubles. To resist foreign aggression, one must first pacify the internal situation. There were also people who raised different opinions and expressed their understanding of Ling Xiao's actions. The entire celestial realm was shaken by Ling Xiao's deployment of troops. Everyone's gaze fell on Ling Xiao, wanting to see where he would go. The first battle is to destroy the 9 imperial gates and purge the Shangqing celestial domain. Ling Xiao's gaze was indifferent as he spoke slowly. Rumble. His voice was like a thunderclap that exploded in the void. A group of people flew towards the 9 imperial gates. There were a total of 4 immortal holy lands in the Shangqing celestial domain. They were the War God Temple, the 9 imperial gates, the Heavenly Curse sect, and the 5 Elements celestial sect. The 9 imperial gates used to be an ally of the War God Temple. However, it later betrayed the War God Temple and sided with the Chinese, the Heavenly Curse sect, and the 5 Elements celestial sect. It could be said that other than the Chinese, the people of the War God Temple hated the 9 imperial gates the most. Speaking of which, the War God Temple and the 9 imperial gates both obtained the inheritance of the ancient heavenly court. The 9 imperial gates possessed the lightning imperial scripture and the heaven's punishment secret technique. However, the 9 imperial gates had besieged Ling Xiao many times, and even went to the mountain gate of the War God Temple to denounce Ling Xiao. Since Ling Xiao had decided to denounce them personally, he naturally wouldn't show any mercy. He was prepared to destroy the 3 immortal Holy Lands and purge the Shangqing celestial domain first. The 9 imperial gates was naturally the first. The 9 imperial gates was located in the extreme north of the Shangqing celestial domain. It was formed by 36 ancient lightning mountains that interweaved with terrifying lightning. It was like a heaven's punishment domain. On top of the 36 ancient lightning mountains was a vast imperial gates. It was like the 9 heavens beyond the heavens. Its aura was ethereal, and there were tens of thousands of rays of light. Numerous palaces and pavilions stood in great numbers, looking majestic and solemn. The 9 imperial gates was known as the orthodox of the heavenly court. Their greatest ambition was to rebuild the ancient heavenly court. When Ling Xiao arrived at the 9 imperial gates, he couldn't help but marvel at the grandeur of the 9 imperial gates. Rumble. The 36 ancient lightning mountains of the 9 imperial gates were all spewing out blazing light. Dazzling lightning bloomed in the void, containing incomparably powerful energy fluctuations. A vast thunder world enveloped the entire 9-layered imperial obelisk. This was the supreme imperial formation of the 9 imperial gates, the 9 heavenly punishment formation. The 9 heavenly punishment formation was the strongest offensive imperial formation. It contained the origin of heaven's punishment. It was incomparably terrifying and could destroy everything. Even imperial emperors wouldn't dare to barge in. Needless to say, the formation eye of the 9 heavenly punishment formation was guarded by the extreme Dao Emperor weapon, the heavenly punishment saber. It could even activate the extreme Dao Emperor aura within, and its power was incomparably terrifying. The 9 heavenly punishment formation had been completely activated. The moment Ling Xiao led the army out of the War God Palace, the 9 imperial gates had already received the news. They weren't willing to compromise with Ling Xiao, so they prepared a 9 heavenly punishment formation to resist Ling Xiao's Saint Dao army. Ling Xiao, do you really want to fight to the death with the 9 imperial gates? An incomparably cold voice rang out. An old man in a purple robe soared into the sky from the 9 imperial gates. The aura around him was ethereal and unfathomable. Cold lightning filled his eyes as if he could pierce through the void at any time. It's the first supreme elder of the 9 imperial gates, Heavenly Venerate Zi Luo. Lu Bai transmitted his voice to Ling Xiao. Heavenly Venerate Zi Luo and Heavenly Venerate Zhangfeng were figures of the same generation. Now they were like old antiques in the 9 imperial gates. Their strength was unfathomable. It was said that they were about to break through to the Imperial Emperor realm. After the Imperial Lord of the 9 imperial gates died in battle, Heavenly Venerate Zi Luo became the leader of the 9 imperial gates. End of chapter. Chapter 2853. Figures with powerful auras appeared behind Heavenly Venerate Zi Luo. All of them had cold gazes as they exuded powerful killing intent and fury. The people of the 9-layered Imperial Gate had never expected that Ling Xiao would actually dare to charge into the 9-layered Imperial Gate. Haven't we already decided to fight to the death? This is your own choice. Don't blame me. Ling Xiao said indifferently with a calm expression. He and his Sacred Path army stopped just before they were about to enter the 9-layered Sky Punishment Great Array. Ling Xiao, this is the 9-layered Sky Punishment Great Array of the 9-layered Imperial Gate. Even an Emperor Lord will die if he enters. If you aren't afraid of death, come in and fight. Heavenly Venerate Zi Luo sneered. Rumble. As if to prove his words, blazing lightning rose within the 9-layered Sky Punishment Great Array. Divine chains of order intertwined and powerful thunderbolts formed all sorts of mysterious scenes that made people feel a terrifying destructive aura. Furthermore, Ling Xiao could also sense that there was an extremely sharp blade light within the 9-layered Sky Punishment Great Array that seemed like it would pierce through the void at any time. That was the 9-layered Imperial Gate's Emperor weapon, the Sky Punishment Blade. It seems like you guys still haven't given up. Could it be that you think a mere 9 levels of Heavenly Punishment formation can stop my footsteps? Ling Xiao sighed softly as he stepped out of the void. The aura around him was ethereal and mysterious. Crack. When Ling Xiao opened his eyes, it seemed as if resplendent thunderbolts were bursting out like divine punishment. It was majestic and mysterious. Ling Xiao, if you aren't afraid of death, you can give it a try. Heavenly Venerate Zi Luo sneered. The 9-layered Sky Punishment Great Array was one of the great protective arrays of the ancient celestial court. It was extremely terrifying and contained the origin of the Sky Punishment. Since the great protective array of the 9-layered Imperial Gate had been created, countless powerhouses had died within it. Even an Emperor Lord had not been spared. Heavenly Venerate Zi Luo did not believe that Ling Xiao could break the 9-layered Sky Punishment Great Array. On the contrary, he hoped that Ling Xiao could enter the 9-layered Sky Punishment Great Array. That way, they might have a chance of killing Ling Xiao. The 9-layered Sky Punishment Great Array is an array formation left behind by the Thunder Emperor after all. I really can't break it. Unfortunately, the 9-layered Sky Punishment Great Array won't attack me. Ling Xiao said faintly. Rumble. He took a step forward and directly entered the 9 levels of Heavenly Punishment formation. Blazing lightning flashed in the surroundings as streaks of Heavenly Punishment light intertwined, containing the aura of great destruction. It was as if they wanted to turn Ling Xiao into dust. Boom. Ling Xiao's expression was incomparably calm. Suddenly, a mysterious light spread out from his body. That was the aura of Heavenly Punishment, which came from the same source as the 9 levels of Heavenly Punishment formation. Heaven's Punishment Secret Skill. The Sky Punishment Secret Technique was an origin source secret technique that contained the origin of Sky Punishment. It was originally a secret technique of the 9 Imperial Gates, but now that it was in Ling Xiao's hands, it began to shine. Ling Xiao's heart pounded violently as it emitted a mysterious light. Lightning circled around him, making his entire presence seem to have become a part of the Heavenly Punishment, becoming one with the 9-layered Heavenly Punishment formation. Boom, boom, boom. Bolts of lightning that were as thick as mountains descended, but they seemed to have lost their target and direction. They caused huge waves, but they did not affect Ling Xiao in the slightest. Ling Xiao strode forward from within the formation. His footsteps were incomparably firm, and his entire body exuded a vast aura. What? Damn it. He used the Sky Punishment secret technique. and the wordless heavenly book to block the Emperor formation's perception of him. The Ziluo heavenly venerate's body trembled. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something, and his expression became extremely unsightly. The Heaven Punishment secret art was the cornerstone treasure of the 9-layered imperial obelisk. This was because the Heaven Punishment secret art contained the essence of Heaven Punishment. If one could comprehend the Heaven Punishment secret art, not only would they have a supreme path to becoming an imperial emperor, but they would also be able to break through most of the 9-layered imperial obelisk's lightning Dao secret arts. Although the 9-layered heavenly punishment formation was a supreme emperor formation, it was still an array formation set up by the Thunder Emperor with the origin of sky punishment. Ling Xiao wielded the wordless heavenly book and comprehended the sky punishment secret technique. At this moment, it was as if he had become a part of the origin of sky punishment, so the formation could not harm him at all. Boom! Ling Xiao's aura rose and his eyes were bright and sharp. He strode towards the Ziluo heavenly venerate, and the lightning around him converged, turning into a majestic and mysterious lightning dragon that let out an ancient dragon roar. Ling Xiao's aura grew stronger and stronger, as if an ancient great emperor had awoken. There was an invincible aura about him. For some reason, the Ziluo heavenly venerate and the other powerhouses in the 9 imperial gates all changed their expressions when they sensed Ling Xiao's aura. They all revealed looks of extreme fear. Ling Xiao, you're courting death. The Ziluo heavenly venerate's eyes were filled with killing intent. In an instant, he waved his hand and the sky punishment blade flew out from the 9-layered heavenly punishment formation. It turned into a huge blade aura that was tens of thousands of feet long, and slashed towards Ling Xiao. Extreme Emperor Weapon Sky Punishment Blade. The brilliance of the heavenly punishment saber had reached the pinnacle. A wisp of divinity had been awakened. Endless lightning was blazing and dazzling. The terrifying saber intent rose. The lightning was as vigorous as the sea. A mysterious figure seemed to have emerged from the saber. His aura swallowed everything in all directions. He was overbearing and invincible. The Ziluo heavenly venerate did not want Ling Xiao to pass through the 9-layered heavenly punishment formation and enter the 9 imperial gates. Thus, he took out the sky punishment blade and launched a brazen attack. Sky punishment blade? How elegant was the Thunder Emperor back then. It's a pity that you've lost the magnanimity of the Thunder Emperor. Instead, you've become a group of obstinate, self-opinionated, despicable and shameless villains. Ling Xiao sighed softly. Rumble. The sky punishment blade rose up like a prison monument, and a chaotic mist filled the air. It was vast and mighty, as if an ancient hell had appeared in the void. The aura was extremely terrifying. Ling Xiao blasted out a punch, and the shadow of a great emperor appeared behind him. The terrifying power merged with his body, making this punch extremely overbearing. Heavenly Emperor Prison Suppression Technique. This was the Supreme Emperor technique of the Heavenly Prison Scripture, and it was also a Peerless Fist technique. At this moment, Ling Xiao used the Sky Punishment Blade as a guide. It was as if the Heavenly Prison Great Emperor had come back to life. The imposing manner was majestic and overbearing. Gotcha. The Sky Punishment Blade was dazzling, and the Peerless Fist instantly collided with the Sky Punishment Blade. Endless divine light gushed out, blooming with dazzling brilliance. Boom. The Ziluo heavenly venerate's body shook violently. He felt as if an immemorial divine mountain had collided with the Sky Punishment Blade. Furthermore, the unparalleled divine power was used, causing his entire body to shake violently. His arm went numb, and he was sent flying with a loud bang. Ling Xiao's figure did not change, but his imposing manner grew stronger. He took a step forward, and his eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Then he blasted another punch towards the Ziluo heavenly venerate. The mighty fist intent erupted like a great river flowing into the sea. Every punch was more terrifying than the one before. It was majestic, as if it could destroy everything. Even though Ling Xiao was still in the 9-layered heavenly punishment formation, and had not rushed out of the formation to kill his way into the 9 imperial gates, his invincible imposing manner still caused everyone in the 9 imperial gates to tremble. Their eyes were filled with incomparable horror. End of chapter. Chapter 2854. Ling Xiao and Ziluo Heavenly Venerate were both at the Heavenly Venerate realm. However, Ling Xiao wielded Heavenly Venerate, and fought against Ziluo Heavenly Venerate, who was wielding the Heavenly Punishment blade. His 2 punches had a peerless aura that could shatter the void. If Ling Xiao really charged out of the 9 levels of Heavenly Punishment formation, what kind of terrifying scene would it be? Wang. The Heavenly Punishment saber trembled violently. Ling Xiao's fist landed on the Heavenly Punishment saber. Using his flesh to resist against an extreme Dao Emperor weapon, the Heavenly Punishment saber instantly emitted a blazing light. The extreme Dao Emperor's might rose and intertwined. In an instant, Ling Xiao's flesh and blood were reduced to nothingness. Only the crystal-clear fist bone was left. Ling Xiao's fist bone was filled with purple gas and immortal fluctuations. It was actually able to contend with the Heavenly Punishment blade. The unparalleled divine power erupted and sent Ziluo Heavenly Venerate flying once again. Ling Xiao didn't seem to feel the slightest bit of pain. His expression was indifferent as majestic vitality surged around him. The injury on his fist was instantly healed. Crack! Blazing lightning rose as Ling Xiao charged through the vast 9-layered Heavenly Punishment Great Array and appeared directly above the 9-layered Imperial Obelisk. Rumble! A mighty aura erupted from his body. Blazing purple gas spread for 30,000 miles and dyed the sky above the 9-layered Imperial Obelisk purple. Ling Xiao looked majestic and domineering. His eyes were as bright as the sun and no one dared to confront him. As expected of the immortal sacred land that obtained the inheritance of the Thunder Emperor. I killed 3 Heavenly Venerates, but there are still 4 Heavenly Venerates left? Not bad, not bad. Ling Xiao's gaze landed on Ziluo Heavenly Venerate and the 3 black-robed elders behind him. Their auras were vast and unparalleled. They were all Heavenly Venerates who stood at the pinnacle of the Sage Path. There were still 4 Heavenly Venerates left in the 9-layered Imperial Obelisk. Ziluo Heavenly Venerate and the 3 black-robed elders had ugly expressions on their faces as they stared at Ling Xiao in bewilderment. Ling Xiao had actually charged into the 9-layered Imperial Obelisk unscathed. Ling Xiao, although the 9 layers of Heavenly Punishment formation can't kill you, killing all your subordinates is a simple matter. Do you really think you can make the 9 Imperial Obelisk lower its head by yourself? The purple Heavenly Venerate said coldly. I've never thought of asking you to lower your heads because I know that you're all very unyielding and won't lower your heads. I alone am enough to destroy the entire 9-layered Imperial Obelisk. Ling Xiao smiled indifferently, his voice incomparably calm. Arrogant. Ling Xiao, my 9-fold Imperial Obelisk also has an Imperial Monarch ancestor. He is currently in the battlefield in the foreign realm. If he knows that you dare to act so presumptuously in my 9-fold Imperial Obelisk, he will not let you go. Ziluo Heavenly Venerate roared, his eyes filled with cold killing intent. Imperial Emperor Patriarch? It's not like I haven't killed one before. If you want to make a move, then hurry up. I've already given you so much time. Could it be that you haven't prepared your killer move yet? Ling Xiao said indifferently. Ziluo Heavenly Venerate narrowed his eyes and revealed a trace of sharp killing intent. Ling Xiao, I don't know if you're too conceited or too stupid. Since you dared to kill your way into my 9-fold Imperial Obelisk, then you can die. Rumble. As soon as Ziluo Heavenly Venerate finished speaking, 36 blazing light beams shot out from the 36 immemorial sacred mountains at the same time. They were as dazzling as divine chains of order. In an instant, they intertwined to form a large lightning net that enveloped Ling Xiao. Kill. 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 Ziluo Heavenly Venerate and the 3 Heavenly Venerate elders looked at each other with killing intent surging in their eyes as they charged towards Ling Xiao at the same time. Boom. At the same time, an incomparably huge figure appeared in the dazzling Imperial Obelisk above, exuding a terrifying Emperor's aura. Its huge fist was like a mountain that directly suppressed Ling Xiao. This seemed to be a killer move that the 9-layered Imperial Obelisk had been preparing for a long time to completely kill Ling Xiao. At that moment, even the many powerhouses outside couldn't help but tremble as a trace of worry appeared in their eyes. Boom. Ling Xiao's fist was like a dragon that wanted to break through the lightning net in the void. However, he discovered that the lightning net was extremely tough. His unparalleled fist mark simply couldn't break through the lightning net. Instead, the lightning net rapidly descended and firmly imprisoned him. The four heavenly venerates all unleashed their strongest killing moves and charged towards Ling Xiao. What shocked Ling Xiao was that the figure in the void was actually a statue that was hundreds of feet tall, and was wearing purple armor. At that moment, it seemed to have completely awakened as a powerful emperor's aura emanated from it. An imperial lord-level puppet? A thought surfaced in Ling Xiao's mind. However, in the next moment, his entire body was engulfed. Rumble. The lightning net intertwined like a blade that wanted to cut Ling Xiao into countless pieces. The four heavenly venerates simultaneously wielded the heavenly punishment saber. The heavenly punishment saber's power was even greater, and the saber radiance even shattered the void. Although the face of the statue was blurry, the mountain-like purple fist print could suppress everything. It contained an unparalleled emperor's might and directly slammed into Ling Xiao's body. Boom. Ling Xiao's entire body seemed to have exploded, instantly erupting with blazing light. The void around Ling Xiao actually seemed to distort as the mysterious river of time flowed around him, making him look like an emperor that controlled time. He was incomparably mysterious. The attacks that were originally as fast as lightning actually became incomparably slow at that moment. Above Ling Xiao's head, the chronological compass spun as the power of time intertwined, forming an incomparably resplendent light screen that adhered to the surface of his body. It made him seem as if he didn't exist in this space-time, becoming ethereal and mysterious. Not only did all the attacks become incomparably slow, but their power also gradually dissipated. What? Heavenly Venerate Zi Luo and the other three Heavenly Venerates found it hard to believe. They felt the power in their bodies rapidly depleting and their lifespan rapidly disappearing. Their majestic life source seemed to be uncontrollable as it rushed frantically into Ling Xiao's body. Chronological finger. Ling Xiao's expression was calm as he shouted softly and pointed a finger at Zi Luo's forehead. A blood-red light blossomed in the void, as if a river of time had penetrated the heavens and earth. Zi Luo's head instantly exploded, and even his primordial spirit didn't have time to escape. It was turned into fine powder by Ling Xiao's finger. Zi Luo had fallen. P.S. The third update is over. Everyone, rest early. I was busy yesterday and missed 2 chapters. I've made up for it in the past 2 days. End of chapter. Chapter 2855. Everyone was dumbfounded. Ling Xiao's domineering attitude was still out of everyone's expectations. Not only had Ling Xiao been able to move through the 9-layered sky punishment great array unimpeded, but he had also been able to deal with the killing moves laid out by the elites of the 9-layered imperial obelisk. He had even managed to kill the purple heavenly venerate. Such terrifying and powerful fighting strength was probably no different from an emperor lord's. Even the supreme emperor array of the 9-layered imperial obelisk can't do anything to him. Who else in the entire divine world can stop him? Could the 9-layered imperial obelisk really be destroyed? Someone said in a trembling voice, his eyes filled with disbelief. Ling Xiao has the wordless sky book, which means that he has the 12 sky art secret techniques. These 12 sky art secret techniques contain the origin of the 12 supreme great paths. In that case, wouldn't the Supreme Emperor array of the 12 immortal sacred grounds be unable to do anything to him? That's hard to say. How difficult is it to cultivate the 12 sky art secret techniques to the great perfection stage and comprehend the origin of the great paths? Ling Xiao must have comprehended the origin of the sky punishment great path by chance. That's why he was able to move through the 9-layered sky punishment great array unimpeded. No matter what, the 9-layered imperial obelisk is in danger today. Boom. Ling Xiao's entire body was also sent flying. Although he had killed the purple heavenly venerate with a single finger, the divine puppet statue in the void erupted with unparalleled divine power. The power of time surrounding his body couldn't be completely neutralized and exploded with a loud bang. He had been sent flying by the divine puppet statue. Could this be the divine puppet of the Thunder Emperor? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with light. The divine puppet statue in front of him looked ancient and a little shabby, so its face wasn't very clear. However, Ling Xiao could still feel that it was a domineering and majestic man. Its entire body exuded an invincible aura that could swallow the world. Terrifying lightning curled around it. This divine puppet statue seemed to be the origin of the Thunder Dao, and was able to erupt with powerful attacks. This was a divine puppet statue that possessed the fighting strength of an emperor lord. Even Ling Xiao couldn't completely neutralize that unparalleled fist mark, which was why he had been sent flying. Rumble. At the same time, the 36 ancient thunder mountains below the imperial obelisk once again spewed out blazing beams of light. They intertwined to form a giant lightning net that covered the sky and enveloped Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao, you actually dared to kill Heavenly Venerate Purple Sun? My 9-layered imperial obelisk will not rest until you die. The remaining 3 heavenly sovereigns were furious. Killing intent surged from their bodies, and they were filled with hatred. They could only watch helplessly as Heavenly Venerate Purple Luo died in front of them. This feeling was driving them crazy. At that moment, the 3 heavenly venerates and the puppet statue were lunging at Ling Xiao in a frenzy. Fight to the death? You're right. Today, the 9 imperial obelisk will be erased from the divine world. Ling Xiao's gaze was incomparably sharp, and a blazing light erupted from his body. Boom, boom, boom. His fist was like a dragon, like a rising purple sun, blooming with incomparably gorgeous light. The unparalleled fist mark erupted, as if it had enveloped the entire sky. The 3 heavenly venerates shook violently, and they couldn't help but be sent flying. Meanwhile, the divine puppet statue charged towards Ling Xiao, its body surrounded by purple lightning. Unparalleled fist marks were constantly smashing towards Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao could feel that this puppet god statue contained a majestic lightning origin. When it erupted, it was as if it was endless, causing Ling Xiao to feel extremely pressured. What a strange divine puppet! Ling Xiao exclaimed inwardly, but his eyes were filled with a strong fighting spirit. He attacked from the sky, and the chaotic light around him rose. The mysterious scene of the birth and destruction of an era appeared. Ling Xiao executed the epic fist, and the mighty fist mark was like a surging river or an eternal starry sky, constantly colliding with the divine puppet statue. Wang, wang, wang. The divine puppet statue's body was incomparably sturdy, and it contained a strange immortal substance. When Ling Xiao's fist mark landed on the divine puppet statue, there was the sound of metal clashing. Sparks flew in all directions, causing the surrounding void to tremble violently. The divine puppet statue seemed to be tireless, and it charged towards Ling Xiao without fear of death. Its powerful combat strength was even stronger than the Samsara Masters. Blazing lightning rose in all directions, and the dazzling light beams seemed to be able to penetrate everything, constantly shooting towards Ling Xiao's vital points. Rumble. Ling Xiao's body gushed with purple light, and the primordial immortal body seemed to have completely awakened. It made his physical body crystal clear, and it emitted an immortal light. When the light beams hit Ling Xiao's body, they shattered, turning into a dazzling rain of light. The giant lightning net intertwined, trying to imprison Ling Xiao, but it was blasted apart by Ling Xiao's fist. Ling Xiao's fighting spirit surged, and his aura rose to the extreme. His eyes were dazzling, and his fighting spirit was high. Every time he collided with the divine puppet statue, it was as if a level 12 storm had been set off, causing a scene that could destroy heaven and earth. The 3 heavenly venerates of the 9-layered imperial obelisk were both shocked and furious. They realized, to their dismay, that although they were heavenly venerates, they were actually unable to intervene in the battle between Ling Xiao and the divine puppet statue. Furthermore, Ling Xiao's ferocious fist was not something they could withstand. Facing Ling Xiao, they actually felt a deep sense of helplessness in their hearts. If Ling Xiao hadn't placed most of his energy on the divine puppet statue, the 3 of them would have followed in Heavenly Venerate Purple Sun's footsteps and died at Ling Xiao's hands. Rumble. The battle between Ling Xiao and the divine puppet statue was extremely intense. The thunderbolt origin that erupted from the divine puppet statue was vast and mighty, as if it had turned into an ancient lightning pool that suppressed Ling Xiao and refined him. Even though Ling Xiao's physical body was unparalleled, in the face of such a terrifying thunderbolt origin, his flesh was still lacerated and his flesh was badly mangled. He had suffered considerable injuries. Sky Punishment Secret Technique. Is this the power of the Sky Punishment Great Path? Ling Xiao's heart trembled, and a trace of enlightenment appeared in his eyes. The battle with the divine puppet statue had allowed Ling Xiao's comprehension of the Sky Punishment Secret Technique to advance by leaps and bounds. The Sky Punishment Secret Technique contained the origin of the Sky Punishment Great Path. The Sky Punishment Great Path was a supreme great path, so it was naturally much stronger than the ordinary Thunderbolt origin. Furthermore, the Thunderbolt origin itself was a part of the Sky Punishment Great Path. Ling Xiao returned to the origin. Through the Thunderbolt origin, he gradually came into contact with a trace of the Sky Punishment Great Path's power, causing his aura to become majestic and domineering. P.S. Today's update is 1. In addition to the 2 updates the day before, I owe 4 updates. I will make up for it at least 7 tomorrow. Everyone, rest early. End of chapter. Chapter 2856. The remaining 3 heavenly venerate patriarchs of the 9 imperial gates all revealed shocked and angry expressions. That puppet statue was said to be the statue of the Lightning Emperor. After countless years of faith, it contained the power of the Lightning Emperor's great Tao and gradually gained sentience. It had already become the guardian statue of the 9 imperial gates, and was also one of their strongest trump cards. The Lightning Emperor statue, together with the 9 levels heavenly punishment array, had once killed many powerful imperial emperors. But now, it seemed that the Lightning Emperor statue couldn't do anything to Ling Xiao. Moreover, Ling Xiao was actually comprehending the heavenly punishment origin contained in the statue. As Ling Xiao circulated the heavenly punishment secret technique, the aura around him became mysterious and unfathomable. It was as if a strange connection had been formed between him and the Lightning Emperor statue. The 3 heavenly venerate ancestors knew the relationship between the Lightning Emperor statue and the Heaven's Punishment Secret Technique. If Ling Xiao used the Heaven's Punishment Secret Technique to control the Lightning Emperor's statue, then the 9 imperial gates would truly fall into a state of eternal damnation. We absolutely can't let Ling Xiao control the Lightning Emperor statue. No matter what, we have to kill Ling Xiao. If he doesn't die, it will be the end of the 9 imperial gates. Let the heavenly punishment army move out. Take advantage of the fact that he's the only one who has barged in. Even if we have to self-destruct one after another, we have to completely kill Ling Xiao. The 3 heavenly venerate patriarchs intertwined with each other, their eyes filled with cold killing intent. Boom. As the 3 heavenly venerate patriarchs activated their seals and condensed runes, the 9 imperial gates above the void seemed to have opened an ancient door. In an instant, billions of rays of light bloomed. It was gorgeous and dazzling, containing an incomparably mysterious aura. Incomparably powerful figures rushed out from the ancient door. Their auras were incomparably cold, and their eyes were incomparably cold. Their bodies emitted a monstrous murderous aura. A total of 3,000 figures were all wearing black armor. Terrifying and blazing lightning surrounded their bodies, as if they were peerless ferocious beasts that had walked out of hell. The Heavenly Punishment Army, the strongest foundation of the 9 imperial gates. Every expert of the Heavenly Punishment Army was at the Saint King realm. Their auras were terrifying and monstrous. Moreover, the Heavenly Punishment Army was extremely loyal to the Imperial Obelisk. They were not afraid of death, and each one of them had experienced hundreds of battles. They were like puppets, terrifying to the extreme. The Heavenly Punishment Army was made up of the geniuses that the 9-layered Imperial Obelisk had plundered from all over the universe. From a young age, they had been trained in the 9-layered Imperial Obelisk's secret realm. They never saw the light of day, but they had the best resources and cultivated the most powerful secret arts. Legend had it that at the beginning, the Tian Fa army had a total of 30 million people, but in the end, only 3,000 were left. Every expert of the Heavenly Punishment Army had to kill each other. They had to carve out a path of blood from tens of thousands of experts. Only then could they become true experts of the Heavenly Punishment Army. When the 3,000 Heavenly Punishment Army soldiers appeared in the Imperial Obelisk, it was as if a terrifying storm had been set off. It was as if it could destroy everything. The baleful aura was incomparably dense, and it was mixed with an incomparably dense demonic aura. 3,000 saint rulers, and they've already condensed military souls. With such dense demonic chi, are they experts that the Imperial Obelisk nurtured in the demon world? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed, and his expression became slightly solemn. The pressure that the 3,000 Heavenly Punishment Army soldiers gave Ling Xiao was even more terrifying than the pressure from the Lightning Emperor's statue. There was a kind of crazy battle intent that could sweep across the universe and never die. Heavenly Punishment Army attack. A heavenly venerable ancestor of the 9-layered Imperial Obelisk held the Heavenly Punishment Saber and roared. Rumble. The Heavenly Punishment Saber emitted a dazzling radiance. Endless lightning interweaved in the void, forming a huge purple flag. It danced in the air before the 3,000 Heavenly Punishment Army soldiers. Silver snakes danced in the air, and thunder dragons roared. The aura was incomparably terrifying. The eyes of the 3,000 Heavenly Punishment Army soldiers instantly turned blood red. In the next moment, the 3,000 Heavenly Punishment Army soldiers' gazes fell on Ling Xiao. Their killing intent condensed, and a crazy baleful aura spread out. Boom! The 3,000 Heavenly Punishment Army soldiers attacked at the same time. They all held purple spears in their hands. The spears were dazzling, and as they interweaved with each other, they exploded with an incomparably terrifying power of lightning. 3,000 Heavenly Punishment Army soldiers were equivalent to 3,000 saint rulers. 3,000 saint rulers attacking at the same time. How terrifying was that scene? The entire sky was filled with blazing lightning. Streaks of terrifying spear radiance pierced through the void, containing vast great Tao laws. That destructive power seemed to be able to tear everything apart. Even a heavenly venerable expert would be torn into pieces in front of the 3,000 Heavenly Punishment Army soldiers. No one would be spared from such a terrifying power. The 3,000 Heavenly Punishment Army soldiers attacked at the same time. The terrifying power that erupted from them had even surpassed that of an Imperial Emperor expert. Good timing. Ling Xiao's eyes were also filled with fighting spirit. That powerful pressure made the blood in his body boil. He did not take out any Supreme Emperor weapon. Facing the 3,000 Heavenly Punishment Army soldiers, he only threw out a punch. One man against an army. Under the lightning that filled the sky, Ling Xiao leaped up. The blazing fist radiance bloomed in the void. The youth's spirit and sharpness were all displayed at this moment. It was the most magnificent picture. Boom. Chaotic light bloomed. Ling Xiao's punch seemed to have opened up a vast world. The evolution and destruction of civilizations, the cycle of eras, and the rise and fall of the world appeared in this punch. It seemed to encompass all the worlds in the universe. At the same time, it also integrated the attack of the 3,000 Heavenly Punishment Army soldiers into it. Crack! The void shattered with a loud bang as dense cracks appeared. Terrifying turbulence of the void surged, as if it was going to strangle all life force. Even though the space in the 9 imperial gates was incomparably sturdy, and had the support of the ancestors' Taoist rhymes, and the Supreme Emperor array, it still cracked in the face of this terrifying attack. Endless thunderstorms swept out in all directions, and the terrifying thunderbolts submerged the 36 immemorial Thunder Mountains. Rumble! The 9-layered Heavenly Punishment array emitted a dazzling radiance. Runic barriers rose up and protected all the buildings in the Imperial Obelisk. If it wasn't for the protection of the Supreme Emperor array, this attack would have turned the entire 9 imperial gates into ruins. 3,000 Heavenly Punishment Army soldiers are actually so terrifying? I'm afraid Ling Xiao won't be a match for 3,000 Heavenly Punishment Army soldiers, right? Someone cried out in alarm, his face turning pale. Although the 9 levels of Heavenly Punishment formation was in the way, the terrifying ripples still made their hearts palpitate. Their eyes were filled with horror. Peak. Chapter 2857. The Heavenly Punishment Army. An army that only existed in legends, the Guardians of the Nine Imperial Gates, had actually appeared. It's not just the Heavenly Punishment Army. There's also the Lightning Emperor's statue, and the various killing moves in the Nine Imperial Gates. Ling Xiao was too careless. That's right. Although the experts under him are terrifying, they don't dare to enter the Nine Heavenly Punishment Array. Ling Xiao is in a difficult position this time. If Ling Xiao dies in the Nine Imperial Gates this time, it'll be the biggest joke in the world. With so many experts under him, they'll probably scatter like monkeys when the tree falls. Everyone was discussing softly. They all felt that Ling Xiao was going to be in danger in this battle. Outside the Nine Imperial Gates, 30 Empyrean powerhouses and an army of 100,000 saints surrounded the Nine Imperial Gates. Although there was worry in their eyes, no one said a word. Battle intent gathered around them, and killing intent surged in their eyes, intertwining like a vast ocean. They were all waiting for Ling Xiao's orders. Although they could feel the danger Ling Xiao was in, they were full of confidence in the Demon Lord. The Demon Lord would definitely win this battle. Gotcha! Blazing lightning flashed. Ling Xiao's epic fist was ferocious and domineering. After clashing with the 3,000 Heavenly Punishment Army, he suddenly retreated. The blood in his body churned, but his eyes became brighter and brighter. The aura around him began to rise violently. To be able to combine the strength of the 3,000 Heavenly Punishment Army into one, this kind of battle formation and tacit understanding is unheard of. If such an army was placed on the battlefield against the demon race, it would definitely be able to create glorious results. What a pity! Ling Xiao muttered to himself softly. His heart was filled with love for talent. The 3,000 Heavenly Punishment Army experts were all one, and their hearts were connected. Although they were all Saint Kings, they could fight against celestial emperors. However, Ling Xiao also knew that they were all loyal to the Nine Imperial Gates. It was impossible for him to subdue the Heavenly Punishment Army. Whoosh! 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 At the same time, the Heaven's Punishment Army swept over like a tsunami after unleashing their killing strike. The presences of the 3,000 saint rulers intertwined and surrounded Ling Xiao. All of their eyes were filled with crazy and determined killing intent. These guys can't be that crazy, right? Seeing their gazes, Ling Xiao couldn't help but have a thought. A strange look appeared in his eyes. Rumble. The eyes of the Heavenly Venerate Patriarch holding the Heavenly Punishment Blade were filled with killing intent and madness. The Heavenly Punishment Saber gave off a dazzling radiance and slashed down towards Ling Xiao. It contained a peerless Tao will, and a vast Emperor's aura erupted as if it wanted to kill Ling Xiao on the spot. The Thunder Emperor's statue also burst out with blazing lightning, exuding an extremely mysterious heavenly might. Mysterious heavenly punishment light gathered in its fists as it pounced toward Ling Xiao. The most important thing was the 3,000 Tian Fa soldiers. Tian Fa army self-destruct. The Heavenly Venerate Patriarch, who was still wielding the Sky Punishment Blade, roared furiously. The 3,000 Tian Fa soldiers were like moths to a flame as they pounced toward Ling Xiao. The terrifying aura around them gathered and erupted like a volcano. Boom! 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 The Tian Fa army actually chose to self-destruct. When they rushed in front of Ling Xiao, they directly burned their primordial spirits, flesh and blood essence, life source, and everything about them. Then with a loud bang, they blew themselves up. In just an instant, 500 Tian Fa soldiers chose to self-destruct. If a saint ruler burned everything and chose to self-destruct, the terrifying power would be enough to injure a Heavenly Venerate expert. If 500 saint rulers self-destructed at the same time, how terrifying would the power be? Rumble. The Heavenly Punishment Saber was blocked by the Heavenly Might. The Thunder Emperor's statue burst out with blazing Heavenly Punishment light. After clashing with Ling Xiao, the Thunder Emperor's statue broke through the void like a ghost and appeared behind Ling Xiao. It then hugged Ling Xiao tightly. The terrifying Heavenly Punishment light drowned Ling Xiao and surged toward Ling Xiao's vitals. The terrifying power from the self-destruction of the 500 Tian Fa soldiers also enveloped Ling Xiao and the Thunder Emperor's statue. It was like a raging sea that swallowed them whole. Boom! The void above instantly exploded into a terrifying black hole. Terrifying divine light surged and intertwined, forming all sorts of mysterious phenomena. Tian Fa Army self-destruct. The heavenly venerate ancestor, who was wielding the sky punishment blade, bellowed once again. His eyes were filled with pain. Rumble. Another 500 heavens punishment army soldiers charged forward without hesitation. They ignited everything in their bodies before exploding with a loud bang. These Tian Fa soldiers were the accumulation of the 9 imperial gates over hundreds of millions of years. Losing one was unbearable for the 9 imperial gates. But now, 1,000 Tian Fa soldiers chose to self-destruct in order to deal with Ling Xiao. This was the 9 imperial gates burning the Sex Foundation, and using all their strength to fight Ling Xiao. He even regretted it now. If he could lower his head to Ling Xiao, how could there be such a huge loss? But now, the entire 9 imperial gates couldn't back down. They had to kill Ling Xiao. Only by killing Ling Xiao would the 9 imperial gates have a chance of survival. Everyone stared blankly at the sky above the 9 imperial gates. Their minds were blank. This battle was too tragic. Thousands of Saint Kings self-destructing. Such a terrifying scene hadn't appeared in the divine world for hundreds of millions of years. And all of this was to kill Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao might be dead, right? Everyone thought inwardly. Under such a terrifying self-destruction, heavenly venerates would definitely die. Even monarchs wouldn't be able to escape. How could Ling Xiao possibly survive? Maybe. Ling Xiao isn't dead yet. Do you remember that 200 years ago, Ling Xiao once self-destructed the wordless heavenly book and survived? Someone suddenly said. Everyone couldn't help but tremble. Then, they abruptly raised their heads and looked at the center of the self-destruction. The wordless heavenly book was a primal chaos treasure. Even the demon race's Yuanlu demon monarch's body was destroyed by its self-destruction. Ling Xiao didn't even have a corpse left. Its power was probably even more terrifying than the self-destruction of the Heaven's Punishment Army. However, Ling Xiao had survived the self-destruction of the wordless heavenly book. But this time? Rumble. The void violently distorted. Blazing divine light rose. The terrifying power of the self-destruction slowly dissipated, and 2 figures appeared. The Lightning Emperor statue looked even more tattered. However, its body emitted an immortal light, as if it didn't suffer any serious injuries. Ling Xiao's face looked a little pale. A trace of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. However, his eyes were unprecedentedly bright and sharp. He was injured. However, he held a huge black banner in his hand. It emitted a dazzling light. There were thousands of auspicious colors, and behind Ling Xiao, there seemed to be a vast and ancient world emerging. 10,000 Demon Banner. Ling Xiao unleashed the supreme power of the 10,000 Demon Banner, and summoned the will and projection of the demon realm. With this supreme treasure, he dissolved the power of the Heaven's Punishment Army's self-destruction. However, that power was too terrifying. Even with the 10,000 Demon Banner in his hand, Ling Xiao still suffered serious injuries. Peak. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.